Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around on this post-Super Bowl Monday as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of flash stuff. And we are so glad that you're here. Joining me here today, of course, on this Monday is the great Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Back there, we've got Ray Ora. Sitting back there, of course, is Taylor Gonzalez. Running the show, as always, is Jonathan Voico. And, of course, the delightful Chris Carr is here. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thanks for making this show part of your day, guys. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. First part of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. Now, I'm going to let you guys know, we do have a whole bunch of stuff we're going to be talking about here today. We're going to talk a little bit about Alec Baldwin. We're going to talk about some Transformers trailers, Guardians, the Flash trailer. We're going to talk about The Last of Us. Warning, we are going to talk about The Last of Us episode in a little bit of an open spoilery way because it did come out 3 days ago. So there's that. Anyway, lots of stuff for us to talk about here today. And we're going to get things started off here with a little off the top, and that is this. Now, of course, one of the bigger stories in the world of movies, and one of the sadder stories in the world of movies and movie news the last couple of years, was the tragic incident that happened on the set of the Western movie Rust. And of course, what happened was Alec Baldwin fired off a gun, a prop, quote unquote prop, that ended up being loaded and had a real live bullet in it. And the cinematographer of the film was shot. A couple of people were shot, but the cinematographer ended up dying. Now, recently, of course, you guys will know that Alec Baldwin was officially charged with 2 offenses and faces up to 6.5 years in jail and certain other things as well. Well, a bunch of legal analysis has now been going on, and according to certain legal analysts, they're saying that it looks like Alec Baldwin will probably walk and will probably be found not guilty. I'm not going to say innocent, but will probably be found not guilty. Now, this is coming from the president of a legal association who was also a former federal prosecutor, and that person's name is Anima Rahami. And they broke it down, and here's the problem. All right, let's go over to the classroom for a second. So right now, Alec Baldwin faces 2 charges, okay? So there's 2 particular crimes that he's being charged with. One is involuntary manslaughter. That's the first charge. And because for involuntary manslaughter, he could face up to 18 months in jail and a $5,000 fine. Okay, so that's the first thing that he's charged with. That's what he could be facing for that charge. Now, the more serious charge is something that they are calling a firearm enhancement statute. Now, basically, a version of this law already existed, but this law that he's facing could end up resulting in a 5-year prison sentence. And I think it froze there, Jonathan. You might want to double check that. But it ended up in a 5-year, could end up in a 5-year prison sentence. Now, there we go. So altogether, he could be facing 6.5 years and a $5,000 $5,000 fine. Now, here's the problem. We start with the enhancement, the firearm enhancement statute. The big problem that this president of this legal organization, and actually specifically, Nima is the president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers Association and a former federal prosecutor. Here's the first problem with the firearm enhancement statute that Alec Baldwin's being charged with. It didn't exist when this happened. The law in question that he's being charged with did not exist. And I think October of 2001, I think that's when the accidental shooting happened. So what this former federal prosecutor is saying is, I don't know what they think they're thinking, because you cannot retroactively charge somebody. That's like me saying, hey guys, there's Oreos in the cupboard and everything in the cupboard is free for anybody to take. So Rob goes ahead and pulls out a couple of Oreos and eats them. Now, 2 months from now, I decide, you know what? New rule of the company. No one can take an Oreo cookie, and if you do, you can be fired. Rob, turns out 4 months ago, you took an Oreo cookie. Yeah, but the rules were different. So basically, this one law that they're saying, this one charge he's being charged with, this former federal prosecutor is saying, what the hell are you doing? You can't do this. Now, here's the other thing. There was an older version that was in force when the enhancement statute, when the shooting happened. So let's go back over the classroom for a second. There was an older version of it. The problem is the older version of the firearm enhancement law was in effect in October of 2021 when the shooting happened. But the law at that time, in order for the law to come into effect, somebody had to be brandishing a weapon with the intent to intimidate or injure a person. So under the old version of the law, clearly Alec Baldwin had no intention of trying to intimidate the cinematographer, nor does anybody believe anywhere that Alec Baldwin intended to harm the cinematographer. So the old version of the law doesn't apply, and you can't charge him with a law that wasn't even in existence when the incident happened. So that's the first part of the problem, and why this lawyer is saying that Alec Baldwin's probably going to walk. Now, what about the whole situation that, the first thing he was charged with, which is involuntary manslaughter? Okay, so that's the one that he still could face up to 18 months in jail, right? Well, here's why this legal expert, former prosecutor, says they think he's going to walk. This is what Nima said. Said the prosecutors claimed that Baldwin was distracted during mandatory firearm training and was on his phone. But Rahimi, this is the lawyer, Rahimi argues that Baldwin still did not have an independent duty to personally check the gun when it's other people's jobs to do so. So according to the president of this legal organization, he's saying under the law, there was no legal requirement for Alec Baldwin to be the one that check the gun. He goes on to argue that under legal precedent, if there are other people tasked with that responsibility, and then he is informed that the gun is unloaded, then technically speaking, his legal requirements were met. Now, that's not to say that Alec Baldwin maybe didn't have a moral obligation or something along those lines. But what this lawyer is saying is that under the letter of the law, number one, that Firearm Enhancement Act, throw that out. And then under involuntary manslaughter, he's saying there was no legal requirement for Alec Baldwin in his capacity as an actor in that case to be given that. Now, there's another big problem that this lawyer points out, and that is they are suggesting that the prosecution is celebrity hunting. Because one of the other people who faced legal problems was the assistant director. The assistant director was the one who now, there was the armorer, the armorer's job is to make sure the weapon is safe. The armorer claimed the weapon was now safe, handed it to the assistant director. The assistant director then took it to Alec Baldwin, and the assistant director was the one who informed Alec Baldwin that the gun was, what was the term for it again? Not clean, but there's a word they use.
Cold.
Cold, thank you. Yes, that the gun was quote unquote cold. That means it's perfectly safe. Here is a safe weapon. Armorer claimed it was safe, gave it to the assistant director. The assistant director claimed it was cold, it was safe, and informed Alec Baldwin that this is a cold weapon. Now, this lawyer is saying that the prosecution looks like they're celebrity hunting because the person who actually handed Alec Baldwin the weapon and said that the weapon was cold got a plea bargain deal with no jail time. So this legal analyst is saying, so wait a minute, the one who gave the weapon to Alec Baldwin and informed Alec Baldwin that the weapon was safe, that person's not getting charged with the crime, but the person who received the weapon and was told that the weapon was perfectly safe, that person is being charged with two crimes, one of which was for a law that didn't even exist when it all happened. So what this legal analyst is suggesting is that the prosecution is kind of celebrity hunting a little bit for Alec Baldwin. Now, look, I know everybody has a wide range of opinions about Alec Baldwin and the situation. This was a horrible, horrible, horrible tragedy. And how this will all shake out in court, we're going to have to wait and see. I do think, though, that this legal analyst brings up some really interesting points and factors about what might go on here. So I'm not really sure. But anyway, Rob, this was a really interesting article that we read. What was your takeaway from it?
Well, look, having been on sets, I mean, this is a horrible tragedy, first of all. Loss of life. There's no reason anyone should lose their life on a movie set, ever. That said, it happens. Accidents happen. Alec Baldwin, in my mind, yeah, he was a producer on this movie, but he was not at all at fault at this point. I mean, an actor should never, ever have to ever worry about whether or not a firearm that he's handed or she's handed or they're handed, whoever, on set is live, that has a live round in it. There's no business of any kind of live rounds ever being on a movie set. And Alec Baldwin has shot guns in movies back into the 80s. So he's done countless scenes with firearms. And to me, it's just insane that this happened. But like you pointed out, Alec Baldwin's there to act. He's not the safety inspector. He's not somebody that's in charge of making sure that the gun is hot or cold. First of all, there should never be a hot firearm on a set. Never. Ever. There's no reason for it at all. And so when he was handed the weapon, and an actor's there to act, he's thinking about his character and what he's got to do and all the blocking. And the fact that this gun went off, I don't see it as his fault at all. Because, like you just pointed out, he was given a weapon that went through two previous hands, the armorer and the first AD. And the first AD is your final line of defense to make sure that whether a stunt's going off, whether something is happening, are we ready? And the first AD should not call rolling until this is all squared away. And I think you're right, John. I think that when they're going celebrity hunting, I think that's exactly what they're doing. Going after, because what better for any kind of a DA than to make some kind of a case against a high-profile celebrity? Now,
By the way, I should point out too that this legal analyst mentioned the armor as well, and this legal analyst says the armor is in rougher shape. Because they said this. This is a quote from the IndieWire article where Nima said the following. She, the armorer, is in much worse shape, he said. Her only job is to maintain the weapons and make sure they're safe. That is literally her only job.
That is.
And she didn't do it. And so, I mean, I don't know. Look, I've read so many wild conspiracy theories here, Chris, from somebody wanted that person dead and snuck live round. I mean, so at the end of the day, the one thing I really hope that comes out of this is, listen, if they find in court that Alec Baldwin actually did something wrong, and actually, I want there to be justice. If somebody else did, I want there to be justice. One of the things I really hope we find out in this case, and I hope they discover, is how the actual F did a live round of ammunition end up on a set. Like, that's what I'm dying to find out. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this. As always, as outsiders, we have probably 2% of the information.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
We're basing all of our opinions on probably what is 2% of the information. We'll wait to see what happens in the actual court case. But it's a really interesting article here. What did you take away from it?
I mean, the biggest thing here is that hopefully Helena Hutchins' loss of life is not a completely vain thing in which, nothing changes on set from this.
Right.
We've already seen people really, really making big swings with their safety protocols. Because I know a lot of people, too, are saying, well, why wouldn't Alec Baldwin check his gun? And Rob brought this up already. Actors are typically not permitted to mess with the props at all in that regard. We're not supposed to check chambers. We're not supposed to do any of that because that's not our level of training. While we do weapons training and weapons handling, we don't do all of that. That's what the armorer's job is for. The armorer, I know back in January of last year, was trying to sue the ammunitions distributor as well because of some kind of false advertising of what they purchased. That's why these live rounds ended up there, which that also seems a little hinky to me. This is just a perfect storm of everything going wrong. Set is a very, very chaotic place. There's so much going on and you're trying to focus on so many different things. And if you don't have everything done to its absolute proper T's crossed, I's dotted kind of way, things can go really, really horribly wrong. And so I hope that Alec Baldwin, should he be, innocent of any wrongdoings here, I hope that that gets proven in court and this gets thrown out. I don't think he had any malicious intent. I really, really don't believe that. Again, that's just from an outsider's perspective, but just from my limited experience of weapons handling on set, I just know that that's something that we're never involved in. And it would be the most horrifying thing to have that happen.
Oh yeah, he's going to need therapy for the rest of his life.
And also, a blank is not the same as a live round of ammunition. And when you put a bullet in a gun, you have to take that out and put it in the gun, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't weigh the same. The fact that somebody put a live round in a gun, I mean, that takes a special kind of stupid.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I could be wrong about this because I'm not familiar with the lingo, but when they say that a weapon is cold, does that not also mean that there's not even a blank in it? I think when a weapon is deemed cold,
It should be
that means
completely
there's
empty.
probably not even supposed to be a blank in it. So, I mean, it just, like, the level of, the number of points of failure in this are astonishing. And again, if we find out whoever is responsible, if we find out Alec Baldwin is responsible, or the armor, or the AD, or somebody else did something nefarious, I hope they get to the bottom of it and find it. I just think these legal, you know me, I have a background in law. I just really like this legal analysis stuff. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We have a former federal prosecutor saying the case against Alec Baldwin, at least as far as they can tell, is very weak. But I mean, I don't know. Again, we as people probably only know about 2% of the information. Let's see what happens when the court case shakes out. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here. And that one is this. Now, you guys have probably been following that there's a little Marvel movie coming out called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And Jonathan Majors is coming back to play Kang, and apparently he's going to be Kang for at least a few movies for a while. At least that's what we're assuming at this point. There was also some talk going around, and there has been some whispers about Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. back as Iron Man. And by the way, I can share something. Because now I found out that it is not the case. So I told Rob about this. I was sent a picture that was allegedly from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania a couple months ago. And in the picture, it was Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, standing on the set of Iron Man 1's Tony Stark's Iron Man workshop. The same one that we saw in Iron Man 1, with Robert Downey Jr. in it. I have talked to somebody who has seen the movie now, and they have confirmed to me that that scene that image in question, that scene in question that I had taken a look at was in fact not real. That scene is not in the movie. So I'm like, okay, so I could breathe a sigh of relief, so I can at least let you guys know about that. But there has been a lot of talk about Robert Downey Jr. maybe coming back. I've been saying forever that, give it, maybe it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, Robert Downey Jr. will be back. There's been some whispers here and there, and maybe yes, maybe no. Well, Jonathan Majors has now come out, and he's got some things to say here. And we can go over to mine here, Jonathan, if you want. So Jonathan Majors enters the MCU as the next major villain, portraying Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Looking ahead at Avengers Kang Dynasty, Majors recently revealed that he would like to share the big screen with Robert Downey Jr., reprising his role as Iron Man. So this is what Jonathan Majors has to say. So Kang Dynasty, I can't even think about it because I'm so excited about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But Kang Dynasty feels to me it has the potential to grow the mythology of Kang, to grow the curiosity of Kang that much more, which is extremely exciting, the actor told Lifehacker. This is like a Robert Downey Jr. day. He just keeps popping in my head, Majors added. Like, I know he's an OG. I mean, he's one of the originals, and I'm just such a huge fan of his as an actor. I think what he did with Iron Man was such a gift to the culture at large. He continued, I would love to be across from him on screen and see how our philosophies, acting-wise and character-wise, just personally match up, I find him to be such a fascinating artist, which is why Iron Man is so fascinating. His portrayal of Iron Man is so fascinating, and he represents a very clear worldview and energy of the Avengers, and I think Kang represents a different era. So now we've got Jonathan Majors coming out and saying he's bringing up the name of Robert Downey Jr., who, of course, even Vin Diesel the other day was talking about wanting to get Robert Downey Jr. in Fast 11. But now we got Jonathan Majors manifesting the name, saying, I want Robert Downey Jr. We got to have Iron Man. We have to juxtapose the worldviews of Iron Man and the worldviews of Kang, and that's got to happen, and blah, blah, blah. Now, look, just because an actor, who, by the way, I guarantee you, Jonathan Majors has not read the script of Kang Dynasty yet. I 100% guarantee that. Just because an actor is talking about that, we all know that does not definitively mean anything. All right? Let's just put that out there to start. We know that does not definitively mean anything. But the fact that he's so earnestly and enthusiastically and in depth went on to break down that Robert Downey Jr. should be in this movie, and here's why he needs to be in this movie. And here's even a narrative reason why we should have Iron Man in this movie. Does that mean that he was whispered a little something by Kevin Feige? Probably not. Could it mean something? Well, I think as much as we have to say that it doesn't necessarily mean anything, it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't. I don't know. Chris, you heard Jonathan Majors' comments. He's bringing up, he wants Robert Downey Jr., he wants Iron Man and Kang Dynasty, he wants to juxtapose the worldviews. I don't know. Does this tell us anything about the possibility of Robert Downey Jr. coming back?
I mean, I don't think it necessarily does, but who wouldn't want to work with Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want Tony Stark back? Because I feel like we've definitely been missing him in these latest films.
Oh,
and
for
everything,
sure.
Right? So I can understand this. And he's such a great actor. Who wouldn't want to be on set with him, having him hide his little snacks everywhere too? Little scamp. I love him. And of course, we could see some version of Iron Man come back at some point. Iron Lad is obviously very connected to Kang. So I think we could make room for having some more Iron Man kind of moments with Kang, and especially since you can play with the timeline and everything. So there's always a possibility. I do think RDJ will probably pop back in at some point. It's just a matter of when.
Rob, you hear Jonathan Majors' comments? I mean, listen, we're used to seeing actors going, oh man, it would be great to work with that guy or whatever. This is like 3 paragraphs of, here's why I want Robert Downey Jr. in this. I don't know. What did you take away from this?
Look, I think everybody that's ever been in a Marvel movie is coming back for Kang Dynasty and or Secret Wars. So I think he's going to get his wish. And I think that maybe he doesn't know that for a fact now, but I would assume that with the multiverse and the possibilities that are available to everyone, that it's not a stretch to think that they'll be working together. I think.
Now, I want to know what you guys think about this. So for those of you who are watching live,
I want that chair.
I just put a poll up in the live chat. That is a very cool chair. I just put a poll up, and I love the way he's sitting in it.
I know.
I just put up a poll in the live chat, simply asking you guys the question: will Robert Downey Jr. be in Kang Dynasty? Very simple. So we're even taking Jonathan Majors out of it, but maybe you want to take Jonathan Majors' comments into consideration here. So I just asked, will he be in there? We got 500 of you guys have responded already. 61% of you are saying yes, that Robert Downey Jr. will be in. We're at 700 votes now. 40% of you are saying no, he will not. And we're now at 800 votes. It's still sticking at 60%. 40. Now it's 59%, 41. So yeah, question is for you guys. You had a chance to see and hear Jonathan Majors' comments about he wants Robert Downey Jr. And he doesn't just say he wants him back. He lays out why he wants him back and the narrative flux of it. What do you guys think? Do you think where there's smoke, there's fire? Do you think, nah, this is just one actor talking in admiration about another actor, which very well could exactly be what it is? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into main topic number 3, shall we? And that one is this. We were just talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is coming out this week, everybody. Comes out this week, this Thursday. I'm going to see it for the first time. A bunch of other people have already watched it. We're hearing good things about it. I'm excited about it. Not as excited as I have been for some other Ant-Man movies, but still always a big event when a new DC or Marvel movie is coming out. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Well, one of the stars of the film is the great Michael Douglas. I love Michael Douglas. I think he's a terrific actor. I've had a chance to meet with and interview him several times. He's like one of the most genuine, wonderful dudes. And I have loved him in the Ant-Man movies. The original Ant-Man, Hank Pym. I've loved him in these movies. Now, there have been a lot of rumors and speculation that fans have had about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania about who's going to die. Because I think we all believe that someone's going to die in this movie. At least that's, but it is the MCU fake death universe, so who knows? Well, one of the names that has been high on the probability list is, if anybody's going to die, Hank Pym. I mean, he's not the main central character of the story. He's been a supporting role. He's been kind of that father figure, mentor kind of role. But now we're into the 3rd film, right? Do we need that father figure, mentor character still around moving forward? So for a lot of people, if you'd ask, if you ran a Deadpool and you ask who's going to get knocked off, a lot of people are going to say Hank Pym. Well, I think Michael Douglas may have just let the cat out of the bag that his character probably doesn't die in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Let's bring up that site there, Jonathan. So Michael Douglas was asked about, hey, are you going to return for Ant-Man 4? To which he said, oh yeah, I'd love to come back for Ant-Man 4, but he throws in the caveat, as long as I can die in it. Now, that sounds very familiar to what a lot of actors have said before, including, especially notoriously, Harrison Ford. I mean, actors, when their characters are coming in, they would like their character. They want a death scene. Actors love death scenes, right? So just like Harrison Ford wanted, hey, I'll play Harrison Ford or I'll play Han Solo, but I want a death scene. I want him to be able to die. Michael Douglas, when asked about a comeback for 4, he says, sure, as long as I can die. He wants his death scene for the character. Now, look, this may not be a situation where the heart of the truth of the matter lies in face value. Maybe. But the face value of it, I mean, maybe I'm wrong and maybe you disagree. Maybe you guys interpret it differently. But to me, the face value of this is, on purpose or inadvertently, Michael Douglas just seemed to confirm for us that Hank Pym makes it through to the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, unless Michael Douglas, being the strategist that he is just throwing out a massive misdirect for the movie. It seems like he just confirmed he makes it to the end of the movie. Anyway, Rob, you read Michael Douglas's comments here. Did he just kind of reveal to us that Hank Pym doesn't die in this movie?
I think he probably did just that. And I understand that he could probably want to die. Michael Douglas is getting older. And it's like these movies, even if you don't have a large role, they're still taxing. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like. I mean, now they have the volume stages, but to be on these effects heavy movies that probably take quite a long time to make. I mean, I know they do. And for an actor like Michael Douglas, who also, I mean, the guy is an Academy Award winning producer all the way back to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it's time. How long is he going to run around in the quantum realm for? And I, like you say, actors love death scenes. And hey, you get that emotional wallop from the audience, like, oh my God, he died. If I watched Infinity War and I was in Marvel movies and I hadn't died yet, I would want the, I don't want to die, Mr. Stark, moment.
Yeah.
And I fade away. Or whatever it is.
By the way, to me, the What If animated series was very hit and miss. But I actually think maybe my favorite episode was the one that centered on Hank Pym. Where, like, don't underestimate how dangerous Hank Pym is. He takes out all the Avengers. He takes them all out in that. So, Chris, I think people can be forgiven for thinking Michael Douglas may get knocked off in Quantumania, because I kind of I still do to a degree kind of buy into that, because, in movie 1, he establishes the character and he fulfills the father-mentor role. In the second movie, he fulfills kind of his narrative story in it, in that he gets his wife back. That was always kind of his thing. So he's kind of fulfilled and all the problems. He checked all the boxes. But I don't know. Now, this comment makes me think he just revealed it. Yeah. Do you think he misdirected us, or do you think he makes it through to the end of Quantumania?
I feel like it'd be really fitting for this to be the swan song for Hank. But, maybe he's going to stick it out all the way through. I got to say, though, I am losing my excitement for this movie. I had some friends at the premiere who just, when I asked them how it was, it's a movie.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping it's great. But I think if it did have those big epic moments and big deaths like that, it probably wouldn't be it's a movie. So I'm leaning towards he pulls through. But it would have narratively really fit. I don't know.
All right. Guys, question is for you. Michael Douglas is saying, yeah, I'll be back for Ant-Man 4 if I can die in it. Did he just play us all? Is he trolling all of us and throw out a big misdirect? Is he actually just reveal the fact that, no, his character doesn't die in this movie? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys have a question for us here on the show, go ahead and fire it in anytime 24/7 over to 951-268-4259. And that will come through, and maybe you'll hear your voice on our show. And today's question has to do with the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. Check it out.
Hey, John. This is Brandon from LA. Just curious why all you guys still care about the Fantastic Four. I mean, they literally haven't been relevant in my lifetime. And I was born in 85. 3 different films have been bad, 2 of which have flopped. Their comic book series was legit canceled. Could you imagine Iron Man, Batman, Spider-Man, Justice League getting a comic book canceled? wouldn't happen. But that's how relevant the Fantastic Four are. If they weren't Marvel's first family, would this picture even be happening? Hope y'all are good.
All right, thanks a lot for calling that in.
I love Brandon.
I did too.
That energy is fantastic.
So look, again, one of the more buzzed about in our circles, when I say our circles, I mean people who make shows like this and the people who watch shows like this, our circles. A lot of people in our circles have been very excited about the idea coming out, finally get it done right, all this kind of stuff, the speculation, who's going to be Reed Richards, who's going to be Sue Storm, who's going to be Dr. Doom, all this kind of stuff. But maybe we need to pump the brakes. Maybe Brandon is our brake pumper. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Maybe he's the one that needs to slam the brakes on things, say, whoa, time out here for a second. And all the hoopla and all the rush. Are the Fantastic Four even relevant? And by the way, you're not wrong in a lot of things that you bring up. There have been some iterations of the movies. None of them have done exceedingly well. Now, you can make the argument that they haven't been good movies, sure, but often the audience doesn't know that they're not good movies until after the opening weekend is done. And the fact of the matter is they have not been great. They've not been made well. They've not been received well. Not a lot of people seem to flock out to go, despite the fact that even the last one, Josh Trank's movie, a lot of people were talking about the Fantastic Four movie, did not do great. Of course, there's a lot of drama surrounding that. And you're also right. I remember back when I was still at AMC, the news came out that Marvel Comics straight up canceled the Fantastic Four comic book. Because I remember at the time, literally less people were buying that comic book than were watching our Hero show with you, me, and John Schnepp. More people watched that Hero show than were buying the Fantastic Four comic. And we didn't have global blockbuster numbers on our AMC Hero show at the time. So they've tried it again and again, never worked. There's a younger generation today that did not grow up watching Fantastic Four stuff. Are they even relevant anymore? And I would say, no, they're not relevant. They're really not. I mean, that's just the cold, hard truth of it. When if you look at the pop cultural zeitgeist, does Fantastic Four rank really high for anybody? Not really. Certainly not amongst the general public. So why are they making it? Well, you kind of answered the question in your call. Because the last line of Brandon's call there was, if they weren't the first family of Marvel, would they even be making this movie? No. But that's like saying if ice cream wasn't delicious, would you still be eating it? No, but ice cream is delicious. And while they may not have real relevance at this moment, they are still the first family of Marvel. There is an importance to that. And I think here's the big word. The word is potential. While I think a lot of us would agree that the Fantastic Four are not the most relevant amongst comic book properties in the world today, I think we would also all agree that the potential of the Fantastic Four, the ceiling is very high. The ceiling is very high. And the very fact that nobody has been able to do it justice yet, I think
already
that's
done justice right.
Well, oh
here.
yeah, there you go. I mean, how can
Done
we possibly
justice right?
How can we speak crap about this masterpiece? The Corman version. Anyway, like we can ask ourselves about the potential of it. There is a lot of untapped potential here. This could be something that, if they hit it right, could become very culturally relevant. Because listen, flash back to before the Guardians of the Galaxy came out. Were the Guardians of the Galaxy relevant? Not at all. Nobody gave two squirts of urine about the Guardians of the Galaxy, and even fewer people had even heard of them, right? But they knew there was potential there, and they invested in it, and now they have a global hit franchise worth billions of dollars. The Fantastic Four is the first family of Marvel. There is something symbolic and important about trying to get this property to work. And now in the hands of Marvel, and under the tutelage of Kevin Feige, people see that there is a greater chance of maybe getting to that potential than ever before. So I agree. The Fantastic Four are not relevant right now. but you make this movie because they are the first family and because the potential to be something Guardians of the Galaxy like or greater, I think exists. Anyway, Rob, it brings up a good question. It's like we're talking a lot about Fantastic Four, a property that, are they even relevant anymore? And why are they making this movie? How would you answer that?
Well, I would start by saying, meanwhile, in the Baxter Building with Marvel's first family, you have to understand that, like you just said, it's how it's done. You look at John Krasinski as Reed Richards. That is a character that belongs in the MCU.
I agree.
And I think that even watching Tim Story's first 2 Fantastic Four movies, I never bought into them. Like, I felt like I was watching movie stars cosplay as characters. And it's not that they were badly made, but if you go back and you read John Byrne's run from the 80s of Fantastic Four, you read Jonathan Hickman's run on Fantastic Four, those are great stories. And I think part of the problem with Fantastic Four is they were at their best when they were dealing with these big comic book cosmic issues. I don't mean issues of comics. I mean problems they had, and we
weren't they the first ones to come across the Time Variance Authority and everything too in the comics, or was that She-Hulk that came across them first?
I don't remember.
I believe they wander into the Chronopolis.
Yeah, they do.
Right.
Yeah, so they had all these stories. The problem was when you tried to, you couldn't tell those stories then because you would have had to have all of this backstory or this universe that people already understood, and they didn't. They were starting from scratch. As a matter of fact, the Fantastic Four movies didn't have other superheroes in them. They had Silver Surfer, but that was kind of part of their mythology. So they didn't have any context with which to do a great Fantastic Four story, other than Doctor Doom. But now they do. Now you have the MCU, and you've got Celestials, and you've got the Guardians, and you have the Time Variance Authority, and you now have a universe that the Fantastic Four themselves can inhabit, so you can jump right into what made those stories great, which was the crazy cosmic nature of the Byrne stories or what Hickman did. So I think now is the time, for the very first time, that they can do something and the Fantastic Four can work. There's even the potential to bring Franklin Richards, their son, in, who's one of the most powerful mutants.
One of the most powerful beings.
Yeah, beings in the Marvel. I mean, all of that. I think now the Fantastic Four could really work, especially in the context of the MCU. But I agree with our viewer that they kind of have been irrelevant. And even when they tried to make movies, they never caught fire because the movies themselves were just not that interesting. Even when you brought in Norrin Radd, the Silver Surfer.
Chris, I mean, we've been talking about the upcoming Fantastic Four a lot of big stories, the casting speculation, all that kind of stuff. Do you think they're kind of an irrelevant property right now? And why would they even move ahead and make a movie about it now?
I don't think they're irrelevant. I just think we haven't had anything done well with them on screen in a very, very long time. Obviously, that gem you brought up there, Jonathan, perfection. Yeah. But there's really great storytelling to be had here, right? We just talked about on Weekly Hero a few issues back about Full Circle by Alex Ross, which is phenomenal. It's so good. If you want relevant Fantastic Four, go check that out. That is a phenomenal story that really is such a love letter to the Fantastic Four's iconography. And I also just want to go to your point of, can you imagine making a movie about a comic book that's been canceled? I sure can. Blade. Hulk lasted 6 issues. Iron Man has been canceled multiple times. Viva Las Vegas. There was cancellation again in 2019. And that Viva Las Vegas one with Iron Man, Jon Favreau was working on that comic. So this happens all the time. And that doesn't reflect whether or not these movies are going to be good or movies are going to be made about them, right? The mediums are all different here. And everything comes down to quality storytelling. If your story's good, then people are going to be interested. And what could be more relevant than a great story?
All right. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you buying into the hype of Fantastic Four like the rest of us are? But do we kind of acknowledge that probably for a lot of people, maybe it's not a big deal yet? Do you think it's wise for them to put a lot of investment into getting the Fantastic Four back up and running again? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank a couple of the sponsors of the John Campea Show here today, our friends at Manscaped and my mobile service phone provider, Ryan Reynolds' own Mint Mobile. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Breaking news, Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right, they are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the code Campea for 20% off and free shipping. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a juggernaut of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. You also get the beard shampoo and conditioner. Because guys, you gotta remember that all of your hair is different. Your beard hair is more coarse and easier to damage than the hair on your head. Next, the kit has Manscaped's beard oil. The oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath. You then cap it off with the Beard Balm that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look. The Pro Beard Kit also comes with 3 special gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code Campea. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped and Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. And remember, guys, when you support and check out our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So make sure you check out the links down below in the description of this video. You'll find links and promo codes for all of our sponsors of today's show. And thank you again to Manscaped and, of course, Mint Mobile. And by the way, speaking of Mint Mobile, a big congratulations to Mint Mobile's owner, Ryan Reynolds, and his wife, Blake Lively, on the arrival of their 4th kid. All of us here at the John Campea Show, and of course, all of our fans, want to send our most heartfelt and deep congratulations to you guys. Now, cuddle your baby, get back to work on Deadpool 3. All right, with that down, keep your priorities straight, man. All right, that all down, guys, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And our first one is this. Now, normally, we don't do spoilers for The Last of Us, because normally the episode comes out on Sunday and then on Monday. There's been less than 24 hours to give people a little bit of time. But the new episode of The Last of Us came out 3 days ago. So we are going to talk about the new episode of The Last of Us a little more openly here. So if you have not seen the newest episode of The Last of Us, episode 5, and you don't want to be spoiled on any details, go ahead, step away from the computer for a bit, come back in about 5 or 10 minutes when we're talking about the next topic. But yeah, let's talk about episode 5. How do they keep upping the bar on this show? I knew what happened at the end of this episode. Anybody who's played the game or has followed the story of the game, you know what the destiny of Henry and Sam are. But it didn't matter. The ending of that episode comes. And you know what they did? They did what they did in episode 1. They made the audience, even those who knew the game, but especially those who did not, they made the audience so buy in that Joel's daughter was like a main character of this show, and her death was such a shock to a lot of people. I'm watching Anne, my wife, watch the episode. Like, I'm watching the episode and I'm loving it, and I'm half watching Anne while she's watching this thing. And I'm telling you what, when the ending of that episode came along, if you looked up in the dictionary the definition of ugly crying, that was it. Like I looked over at my wife and she was woo, like tears, waterfalls, emotion and whatever. They just reached in and grabbed the audience's emotional heart and ripped it out. It was so powerful. And the juxtaposition about the state of Joel and Ellie, like they were a version. They were like looking in the mirrors. They sat across from each other. They were looking at a different version of themselves. And ultimately in this world, does it really mean no matter what you love and try to protect, are you doomed to fail and are you doomed to lose and doomed to tragedy and all this kind of stuff? I'll tell you what, one of the criticisms we've heard, generally only from people who played the game, was that there's not enough fisticuffs in this show yet, not enough action yet. When that truck fell into the ground, I think we knew the bloater was coming out. I wasn't ready for this World War Z like flood and wave of infected come pouring out. And it was just horrifying. And when that bloater grabbed, I don't know what to call him other than Tommy, the guy who does the voice of Tommy in the video game, and he was the right-hand man of
Jeffrey Pierce.
Jeffrey Pierce, thank you. When the bloater comes out and grabs Jeffrey Pierce and just plucks his head off. It's like, oh my God. And then she's a little child. First of all, there's a child clicker. And when the little child clicker like jumps on her and just tears her apart, you're like, that's what you get. But one of the things that I still get, like from this character to her character, like even though they're the bad, quote unquote, the bad guys, you empathize. So like when they're standing around in her childhood bedroom and she's telling the story about growing up with her brother, and she's like, oh, I know he would want me to forgive them. But what does that get me? Like, I love stories that delve into, and this is what Last of Us does great, what pain does to even very good people. Pain can change you, man. Pain will make you not recognize yourself in the mirror, the things you're capable of doing when you are in pain. And they made it very clear, she had suffered such unspeakable pain that all she could think about now is wanting to revisit that unspeakable pain on others. I mean, it was powerful. You could tell these were people, they follow her because she was probably, before all this garbage, a really good person. He was probably a really good person. And now we're doing unspeakable things. And it just, the narrative of this thing and the emotional human truth that it speaks compels me every step of the way. Oh, and just for a bonus cherry on top, they throw in this like world-class like action scene at the end with the infected getting out, and it's horrifying and it's terrifying. And then, the end of the episode. If you were crying at the end of episode 3, you were very much doing a different kind of crying at the end of episode 1. One was the end of A Beautiful Life, and we cried out of beauty. This one was a tragic end, far too early for a child we became totally attached to, and the person just trying to protect that child at all costs. Oh, the stakes couldn't be higher. The emotion couldn't be more real. This is the best show on television. It has officially replaced my second favorite show on television of Yellowstone. It was actually amazing. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to watch Last of Us episode 5. What were some of the things that stood out to you?
Oh, this episode was so good. And having played the game, I knew it was going to happen, but I kept trying to convince myself they were going to change it. Where it was just, me too. They've already made changes. So these boys are going to be okay, and I'm going to be okay, and then he's going to be best friends with
They're
Ellie.
just going to be bad in a different way.
Yeah. It's going to be fine. And then no, just sobbing. I really love, I know people have been pretty divisive on whether or not they enjoy the character Kathleen. I love Melanie Linsky's delivery of, okay, if I come out, you'll let the kids go? No, I won't. Because it could have been this really angry, hateful moment. And instead it was just, did you ever think that maybe he should just die? Maybe he was meant to. All of that, just how dismissive she was so compelling to me. I loved it so much because it was even more hurtful then of just, I really just don't give a shit. I'm not going to do anything good. I already killed a room full of people. I don't care about your little brother, bud. Fuck you. I loved everything about that. The clickers coming out were really, really great. The bloater was so amazing. Shout out to Rule Sabea, who helped bring the voices of the bloaters to life. I love that. It's such a good episode. It's so heartbreaking. They did such a good job. This is such a good adaptation. It kills me.
And the change in it too about making Sam deaf was like, oh my, they were talking about it afterwards about it's like And it was so organic. It was such a massive departure from the game, obviously, for the character, but they talked about it afterwards. Druckmann and Mason were talking about it afterwards. It just created another tether between Henry and Sam. Like, one really did rely on the other. It was just so beautifully done. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to watch the episode. What was the things that stood out to you?
Again, I thought it was a terrific episode. And I have to say, Bella Ramsey, I don't remember the actor who played Sam, but the relationship that they developed over the course
felt so natural.
I mean, what I loved about all this is they're just teeing you up. You're watching this going, oh my God, the relationship is so well done. And when it comes to adaptation, you brought up earlier about, well, there's not enough gunplay. Well, that doesn't work in a drama. You can't just have action scene after action scene after action scene, because it would become very boring very quickly. And what is this called? It's called The Last of Us. And what it really is all about is, what is the tragedy of losing humanity? And that's what this show is about. It's about the end of mankind, and ultimately we as viewers hopefully will glean, why is mankind worth preserving through this whole journey that they're on. And the thing that killed me was when Sam asked Ellie, Emma, what happens inside?
When you turn into a monster, are you still you inside?
I mean, that line was that, and the way he delivered it, that kid's a great actor.
Yeah.
The way he just delivered, and the look in his face, because that's something a kid would say. There's nothing more horrifying than a child realizing everything that I am is gone. That's what a fungal infection will do to you. And I just, this episode I thought was terrific. And like you said, the action scene, I love seeing Terry Notary, the movement coach. If you watch
yeah, that was really good.
Terry Notary was on Superman Returns for a year, so I really kind of got to know him. And he's a terrific guy, but he's worked on the Planet of the Apes movies, and he's worked with Andy Serkis a lot. And seeing him, show the people who are to the uninfected how to move, it was great to see him, because he brings a lot. A lot of people don't think about these things, but he brings a lot to that movement. And when you watch that mass of creatures, I know it's duplicated via CG, because they can't have millions of creatures for all different reasons, but I loved seeing that, because that's what makes those things terrifying.
Yeah.
They don't run like real people. And I just thought everything about it was terrific. And, even the scene, even the moment where Pedro Pascal walks in on the old man, the lookout.
Yep.
And he says, don't. And it cuts away and you hear the gunshot.
Please don't.
Please don't. And the way the show is done, it's so well. What Craig Mazin was able to do with Chernobyl and the situation of what was going on, the radiation, and in a way, there's something very similar going on. He's very good at setting up apocalypses and how people deal with them. Craig Mazin, if he has a sub niche, he's very good at this. And he's taking what he learned with Chernobyl and he's brought it over. I mean, who would have thought the guy who worked on Hangover movies could tug at our heartstrings and our souls the way Mazin is now? And I mean, he's writing most of these episodes, and they've been quite astonishing.
I'll tell you what, too. By the time they're digging the graves at the end, like the sound beside me on the couch, like she's so hurt and in so much pain from. Oh my God, it was so well done.
I don't remember the name of the director of this episode, but kudos to him, because when Henry was brandishing the weapon after he'd shot Sam, and the way it was directed with the gun still up pointing at Pedro Pascal, and I'm just like, are they gonna change? Is he gonna get shot? I was the way that literally the camera angles on him where Henry's having the gun come up, I was terrified that they were gonna make a change in the adaptation. I'm like, he's gonna shoot him. And I was even though I know that wasn't going to happen, it was still so tense that I believed that maybe it could. I mean, this show it's really well done.
Anyway, guys, I want to let you guys know that a little bit later this afternoon, at a different time, at 4:30 p.m. Los Angeles time. That's 7:30 p.m. New York time. We will be doing our Last of Us open spoiler discussion after show. So you guys want to talk at length about this incredible episode of The Last of Us, make sure you come on back at 4:30 and join me then. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys there. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to our next main topic here, shall we? And we're going to get into a plethora here of Super Bowl ads that came out. Now, a couple of the Super Bowl ads dropped quite early. We already had the Fast 10 one. We spoke about that. We had Air, the story behind I didn't realize Ben Affleck was directing that one. Oh, yeah? That's made me even more excited for that movie, all that kind of stuff. But we also had a couple things we hadn't seen yet. And the one thing that we started off with was a new spot for the Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Now, they did not drop a full brand new 2-minute plus trailer. They only gave us the Super Bowl spot. But the Super Bowl spot gave us a bunch of stuff that we did not get in the first trailer that came out about a month or two ago, whenever it was that came out, including showing us more of Mirage. They gave us, it was very heavy Mirage-centric. We got little clips of Bumblebee, Optimus Prime. Of course, we got the same shot of Optimus Primal that we got in the original thing in the ape form, banging his chest and all that kind of stuff. But here's why I like the spot. Now, Transformers became something of a dumpster fire of a franchise. I really like the first one. But after that, it just became kind of an unwatchable dumpster fire. To me, it's all subjective. Maybe some of you really liked a couple of those ones. You like the third one, I believe, the one that takes place in Chicago, right? So, yeah, absolutely. It's still all subjective. For me, it kind of became a waste. And then Bumblebee came along. And Bumblebee, what they brought into the Transformers that Michael Bay had missed in all the other ones, even the very good first one, was character. Bumblebee actually had legitimate depth of character. Haley Steinfeld's character brought humanity into it in a way that Michael Bay never really did with Shia LaBeouf's character or Megan Fox's character or whatever. They gave her a character and brought a humanity and a heart to it that just made it a much better, well-rounded motion picture than, say, like even the first Transformers movie was, which I enjoyed very much. So the question going into Transformers Rise of the Beasts is, okay, is this going to be more Michael Bay style Transformers, or is this going to be more Bumblebee style Transformers? And while it was just a short TV spot, I will tell you, I'm encouraged by it because it felt like it was going to be more character. And even the little bits we got to see with Mirage just made me feel that they're going to give a little bit more heart and character to Mirage than Michael Bay ever did with any of his characters at the time. So again, small sample size. I'm not going to get carried away. I thought the first trailer was fantastic, but this spot to me was encouraging because it showed a little bit more heart. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to see the TV spot. Mm-hmm. Did you take anything away from it? What did you think about it?
I was really excited about it. I also was a huge nerd during it though, and turned around and was like, okay, I'm still not sold on Pete Davidson as Mirage because he's like East Egg. He's old money. What is the deal here? What's happening? And all of my friends were like, no one cares, Chris. No one cares about this at all. But I think it looks really, really fun. I think the effects we were seeing look really, really cool. It's Transformers. As long as things are exploding and I get those beast modes too, I'm pretty happy. I don't need a lot of depth here, if I'm being completely honest. I just need big explosions and fast cars.
Rob, you had a chance to see the TV spot. Weird that they didn't do the full trailer online now thing. But was this little spot enough to get you more excited for this movie, less excited? Did it not move the needle? What did you think?
Well, I was already this sort of reinvigorated my interest in this franchise. I really liked Bumblebee. I did. I thought it was good. I like that they're leaning into the beast mode, the beast wars, the beast of it all, which is very cool. The trailer didn't really do much more than the first trailer already got me. This was just kind of, to me, more of the same. You know, even though there's that's cool. Even though there's a little bit more Mirage in it, I'm like, that's cool. It's great. I mean, they've sold me on this. I'm in. Count me in. It's got. You know me, John. I love giant robots. I love giant monsters. I love anything Japanese kaiju related, and the Transformers came from Japan. I'm in. As long as, the great thing about Bumblebee is that the way that Travis Knight directed that movie.
Which someone's got to explain to me why he's not directing another one. That confounds me.
I think he went back to Leica Studios, going back to do more like Kubo. He probably didn't like dealing with all the studio politics. You know, he was, I don't know, but I actually met him. I did a promo for that movie, and he really nice guy, really talented guy. But and Phil Knight's son. So it's I can't wait for this Rise of the Beasts. Way more than like what was the fifth one? The Last Night.
Transformers Last Night.
Man, did I hate that movie.
That was horrible.
Hated that movie.
Horrible movie.
And you know, this Travis Knight brought the heart into the Transformers franchise that it kind of was always missing. And this looks like it kind of has heart in it too.
Here's hope. And of course, being directed by the guy who directed Creed 2.
Yep.
Right. I mean, Creed 2 isn't as good as the first Creed, but hey, it's good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So let's see what he brings to it. Question is for you guys. What did you think about the Transformers spot? Did it make you more interested in the movie? Did it not do anything for you? Maybe you didn't like it at all. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about another big trailer that came out in this thing. And we're sticking in the world Marvel here a bit. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 dropped their new full trailer. And I will tell you what, this was a damn good trailer. And one of the things that I loved about this trailer was it completely was consistent with the tone of the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, sometimes you move forward in these things. One of the things I'm a little bit nervous about Ant-Man Quantumania, to be honest with you, is that it seems like they're really departing from the spirit of the Ant-Man movies. Like, again, just the lack of Michael Pena. John, again, with the no Michael Pena. I know. I'm a broken record on, but still, just the lack of Michael Pena, the fact that, I mean, I love the charm and the heart and the humor and everything of the Ant-Man movies that fit in that with that character. And this movie looks like a real departure from that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not going to work. It might be the best of the franchise so far. I'm just saying it makes me a little bit nervous going into it. I was also a little bit nervous that, you know, the third film, maybe James Gunn feels like it's time to change everything up and all that kind of stuff. I love the fact that you still feel the heart of the Guardians of the Galaxy there. That scene where, like, Gamora's like, well, why don't you hook up with my sister, right? And he's like, you know, I just noticed what a gorgeous shade of black your eyes are and all this kind of stuff. He charged me. He's like, I'm just saying he had a good choice. Like, whatever. That whole thing, to me, had that warmth and that charm that I want to see alongside of the big action and explosions and all that kind of stuff that we've come to expect from an MCU or a DC movie or whatever. But I found myself quite hyped for it. It did what the trailer's supposed to. It did get me more excited for it. I'm totally stoked, especially coming off the Christmas special. Loved it. Anyway, Rob, you saw the new trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. What did you think about it?
Well, I loved seeing more of the High Evolutionary.
Yeah, a lot of him.
And we know that his planet or whatever it is that's right out of the comics and the things, the history that he has with Rocket. And I love hearing or getting a little bit more of the story itself.
What was the line he used that Rocket said about him? He doesn't want to make things better. He just hates the way things are.
Yeah.
Or
something like that.
Something like that. It wasn't exactly
there was a lot of Rocket in this. I just want to go and fly away or whatever you said. And I thought, like, the trailer I just thought was okay as a trailer went, but I really loved the glimpses of the story that we're getting. So it made me more excited that the High Evolutionary is apparently more of a villain than I might have thought. And the fact that Adam Warlock is his errand boy, or whatever, I think that's great. I mean, I love all that. So this, in terms of moving the needle, this made me more excited. I was already excited because I love these movies, but this trailer looks really, really good. And I love the way the High Evolutionary is playing it, the way and by the way, Nebula's hot. I'm just happy that they acknowledge.
Oh my gosh.
Are
you attracted to Karen Gillan? A redheaded woman? Shocking.
I know, right? And I mean, in real life, total celebrity crush. But Karen Gillan, but as Nebula, she's hot. She's hot. And I that scene at the end killed me. I really made me laugh.
Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to see the new Guardians trailer. What did you take of it?
It made me nervous. It makes me really nervous because it features so much Rocket and Layla and the High Evolutionary. And if he dies, I will burn a Regal to the ground. I will lose my mind. I won't really, guys. Please don't take away my pass. But I'm very, very nervous that they're going to do something terrible to my trash panda. And I don't want that.
You know, there is a big misdirect in the trailer too, because I think one of the final shots is you see them walking out. I think Groot is carrying what looks like Peter's body, but clearly Peter just passed out, because I think Rocket is also walking there and he's just sipping on a soda and whatever. So I think it's probably something that he passed out, because it's set up in this trailer. They're talking about taking the final journey together, whatever. And then they see him carrying out his body. It's like, okay, I think that's probably a pretty obvious misdirect. My one concern though is with the High Evolutionary, because while the trailer did make me very intrigued about the character, I do fear this is going to be a very insert villain here kind of role, much say like, the unfortunate role that they kind of gave the villain in the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. Who the first Hulk actor? Who was it that played?
Eric Bana.
Eric Bana
playing Nero.
It was really just, or the Dark Elves in Thor 2. Like, I don't feel like this is going to be, again, this is just interpreting from a trailer. I could be way off about this. I hope I am, but it just kind of feels like a insert terrible, menacing villain here who's not really going to have any staying power that, say, like a Killmonger or a Thanos or a Loki did. But, we'll find out. Guys, the question is for you. What did you think about this trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3? I thought it was quite fun and really well done. Captures that spirit of it. A few things I'm a little bit worried about, like will it be a really good, compelling villain, or will it just be used as a throwaway villain? Whatever you guys think, though, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our last main topic here today, and that's for another trailer that dropped during the Super Bowl. And that is the one a lot of people have been waiting to see, The Flash. Now, obviously, and for totally understandable reasons, any talk of The Flash has kind of been overshadowed a lot in our circles because of the misbehavior of Ezra Miller and all that sideshow stuff that has been a huge distraction of this film, understandably so. However, the trailer has now dropped. We heard people, I have personally spoken to people who have seen the movie and say it's utterly fantastic. James Gunn, who had nothing to do with the making of this movie, say it's one of the best comic book movies ever made. Put on his Twitter this weekend that, guys, I cannot wait for you to watch this movie. And again, I know he's the head of DC Films, but he had nothing to do with the making of this movie. And he's like out there parading it around, really excited about it. Well, the people got a chance during Super Bowl to see the full trailer for The Flash. And without any hesitation, and again, a trailer is just a trailer, right? We've seen lots of great trailers to bad movies, lots of bad trailers to great movies. So we're just speaking about the trailer. Easily the best trailer of Super Bowl. Easily the best trailer of Super Bowl. And I include the Fast 10 trailer in that. And I really, I really like that Fast 10 trailer a lot. This is better than the Air trailer. This is better than the Fast and the Furious trailer. This was hands down the best trailer of Super Bowl weekend. This trailer was fantastic. I could not believe how excited. I'm a little dubious about Cara Jor-El's role in this thing. I'm a little bit nervous about the Supergirl angle of it too. But man, this trailer played, and I'm like, give me more of this Supergirl. I'm now completely invested. And the way Zod came and played in it, we had friends over for the Super Bowl, and we put this trailer on, and when this trailer came up, and we had friends like when the shot back to Man of Steel with Zod's my heartbeat was picking up a little faster. I was getting chills and all that kind of stuff. When the two Flash boots connect in the desert and they go off in other ways, or when Batman says, like, try not to die, and then moves out of the way, and you just see that floating figure in the air that we know is Supergirl. And Zod playing a role in that. My God, this was a great trailer. Again, not saying that the movie is going to be great. I haven't seen it. Maybe it'll be a total mess. But as far as just a trailer goes, this was 7 shades of fantastic. I love this trailer. It got me I've been excited for this movie regardless. So I am super stoked. I am super hyped for this. Cannot wait. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to watch this theoretical, hypothetical movie trailer that may or may not be real.
This thing that may exist, who knows?
Who
Batman
knows?
Flashpoint. It's still Batman
But
Flashpoint.
just in theory, what did you think about this?
Everyone in the chat is like, I can't wait for Chris to admit this movie exists. I will die on this hill. I think this bit's funny. I don't care. I don't care at all. It's still Batman Flashpoint, though. All the Batman iconography, all the Batman. Come on. I liked it, though. It looked good. It looked like a fun film. I don't know if it's as, like, jaw-droppingly awesome as some other people feel it is. I also am trying to just kind of compartmentalize because I'm so completely turned off by all of Ezra Miller's behavior that this really why indeed that I'm
What's
just,
wrong?
you know,
What do you do?
it's so cool when you just, you know, harm people and throw chairs and steal. Yeah, it's great. It's good superhero behavior. And I understand that this movie, he's playing a character, they're playing a character. And I'm going to see this for work for sure anyway. I know I have to. But I'm just having a hard time getting excited about it. And other things in here do make me excited. Michael Keaton. Gosh, Kara looks cool.
She does.
I do think the idea of this, too, is a really nice bookend to the, you know, DCU that we've had so far. I think this would be a really lovely conclusion because it looks like we are taking all those little set pieces from before and going, hey, this is going to launch us into this next chapter. I hope it's done well. I'm going to try to get more excited about it.
Rob, you watching this trailer? You and I have not talked about it. Even when we came in the office this morning, we did not discuss it. What were your impressions of this Flash trailer?
Loved it. I mean, it was what was really interesting to me is somebody described it on Twitter that, well, because Barry Allen is very similar to the portrayal of Peter Parker, that this is their own No Way Home movie. And I'm like, okay, you could look at it that way, but Flashpoint was a big deal in the DC universe.
Yeah.
The Flash story it predates No Way Home by decades, I think. Well, a decade and a half at least. And first of all, Michael Keaton looks great. And I mean, aside from the fact that I got over the sticker shock of Hot Toys action figures that are going to come out of this, and the fact that I gleefully thought to myself, I have a Zod figure, neener, you know, that's not going to have to be bought again. I thought the trailer looked really compelling. I mean, the voiceover about you're going to destroy these universes, and Ben Affleck was really great as Bruce Wayne, even though you only see him briefly. And it was such, you know that you're in the hands of people that know what they're doing, where they basically stop the trailer so the camera can push in on Michael Keaton's face. And they, you know, normally they didn't have to do that. They gave that pause. I'm Batman. And then if, you know, because that's the signature. It was so great. And then the end, the taking the pictures. But you know what I really appreciated too? John, as you know, when I talk about this movie, I've had a problem on the show when you're talking about the Flash as opposed to Ezra Miller themselves. Now, the crack at the end about them, you know, I now don't have a problem in my mind. I don't have a problem with the pronouns with this movie anymore because Flash truly is them now.
There
And
too.
I thought that was really cool. I mean, when they say our kids, I'm like, what's going on in this movie? But I can't wait for this. I thought this was great, and I'll tell you something. Ezra Miller looks great in this movie, and all of them have. How many Flashes are in this movie? I don't know.
We don't know.
Because
we know
there's a lot.
at least two.
Yeah, and are there more?
Probably.
I don't know. But I thought that his, you know, the look on their face when they say about their mother, why are you doing this? That got to me. Like in the trailer. Just the close up. I'm like, that was part of Flashpoint, you know, saving Mom.
Well, that's the whole point, really.
I mean,
yeah.
and
I
I thought they nailed it. You know, the fact that you can see, I think one of the reasons everyone has said this movie is so good is that the emotional stakes are very real. And I think that was conveyed to me in this trailer, in addition to all the crazy superhero multiverse action. I think this is actually going to be a legitimately emotionally affecting, great fantasy film. And I'm excited.
Ray, I know when you were watching the trailer with us yesterday, the moment Kara came on screen, you got hyped up. Like, what did you think about the trailer?
That's my favorite character in Injustice. I love playing Supergirl. I think that's it. That's where my enthusiasm came from. This is gonna hit $1 billion. This movie is gonna hit $1 billion. Just mark my words. I just think it will. I mean, I don't know. I think
she looks
good.
Great.
I'm
as
Yeah,
Supergirl.
the costume is fantastic, by the way. That full body costume.
Yeah.
It looks great. Now, one of the other things that got people peeking up a bit about it was there was a lot of talk online about that. People believe they saw and heard Christian Bale in the trailer. The one shot in particular, do you have that image there, Jonathan? You find that, yeah. This is one of the images saying it's Bale's, bat cycle.
No, it's not.
And and saying, well, and it's not Michael Keaton, because if you look at Michael Keaton's shot in the trailer, the ears on it, I feel like I'm talking about Peter's dick again, but the ears on Michael Keaton's cowl are like this tall, and the ears on this cowl are not the Michael Keaton ears. I mean, that's like less than half the height of
This
Michael
is
Keaton's.
the Bat Pod.
Well, yes, that was going to be my point, was that when you look at that, yes, it is very reminiscent of the bat cycle that Christian Bale rides. Absolutely, it's very reminiscent of it. But as Jonathan just pointed out, this, you can bring that back up again, this is what Christian Bale's. It's a one-wheel thing. It's a very fat tire, but it is different. Also, there are other shots where we clearly see it as Ben Affleck. Right? I mean, so I believe 100% that is the Ben Affleck Batman. We're going to see him a little bit in action here. Now, I put up on Twitter today, though. I said, now, look, if this ends up being Christian Bale, which I am not saying it is. Clearly, I 100% agree that it's Ben Affleck. But I will tell you what, and for the record, I am somebody who does not believe Christian Bale is in this movie. All right? Just to be clear. That being said, I'm saying in the hypothetical, if Christian Bale ends up making a cameo in this movie, yeah, you take that audience pop that you heard when Professor Charles Xavier came out in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, triple that. You take that J. Jonah Jameson cameo at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, when JJ shows up on the screen talking, you take that audience pop, throw it out the window. If Christian Bale pops up in this movie, which, again, I do not believe he is. But if he did, the pop would be heard around the world. The squealing and cheering and exuberance in your movie theater is going to be off the chart, Rob. So, I don't know. Do you think there's any chance Keaton could be in there? Or not Keaton, but Bale? And what kind of reaction do you think it would get?
A certain a movie pundit who does not live on this coast was making assertions that this was the case, and James Gunn clapped back really hard addressing this very issue, and I chuckled aloud. So I think, look, with this kind of movie, anything is a possibility. So I wouldn't say no. So I'm leaving the possibility open, because why not? But we don't know. I don't know. I would lean into probably not. But who knows where they're going to go with this? Because we do know they did some reshoots over the summer.
But that's standard. That's standard.
But what did they add?
Well, but every movie always does it. They don't always add Christian Bale.
But no, but they might have. Well, you never know.
It's within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Would they have to have Christian Bale there? Can't they just, infer or like?
The question is why? What would they use him for?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't actually have Christian Bale there, what would be the point of having somebody else in Christian Bale's Batman costume and sounding like? What would be the point of that?
The whole rumor that was being addressed or even teed up, set up, is that the new Batman moving forward is introduced at the end of this movie, and the assertion is being that they're bringing Christian Bale back to be the new Batman.
Oh, see, I would 1,000% not believe that.
Right. Well, James Gunn, as I said,
made that pretty clear.
Made it pretty clear.
One last thing I want to address, though, about the Flash thing, and it is hands down the best trailer of Super Bowl. A remarkable trailer. I cannot wait to watch this movie. Listen, I've always been a fan of Ezra Miller's portrayal of Flash. I've always been a fan of it. Even the people who go, that's not how you run, because Ezra Miller's got this kind of a run thing. And whenever I hear somebody pull that out, goes, that's not how you run, I'm going to, really? Okay, please demonstrate for me how somebody who runs faster than the speed of light runs. Show me that. Or show me examples of people who run faster than the speed of light. Show me how that person runs. It's because it's a ridiculous thing. That's not how you run. Who's to say that's not how you run when you run faster than the speed of light? That's all I'm saying. So I've always been a fan. I continue to be a fan of Ezra Miller's portrayal of the character. All right. And I really like the look of Ezra in this trailer. I really, really do. 100%. I'm looking forward to seeing Ezra in this movie. I really am. Mm-hmm. It don't matter, though. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if this movie makes $1 billion, which after this trailer, I might be with Ray, that maybe it will. Ezra is done as the Flash after this movie. Ezra's done. What Ezra did not write some inappropriate tweets. Ezra Miller did not say an off-color joke. The stuff that Ezra Miller is accused of is far more serious. Far more serious than an inappropriate joke made, inappropriate tweets made, uncovered obscene love letters that they wrote 7 years ago. No. We're talking about somebody who a girl's parents had to try to take legal action to get their daughter away from them. We're talking about somebody who was breaking into people's bedrooms in the middle of the night and threatening them. And it goes, somebody who we have on video grabbing a woman by the throat and taking them down to the ground. Now, I give, this movie a pass because like the vast majority, pretty much this whole movie was already shot before all these things started coming out and all these things started happening. This is stuff that Warner Brothers, even the previous organization, had no way of knowing was going to happen when they shot this movie. So I do not hold any of that against this movie. But Ezra's done as Flash after this. And I will go on record. I will go on record and say this. If by some unimaginable twist of things, because I've seen too many people trying to compare Ezra's situation to James Gunn. Well, James Gunn will understand because people try to cancel James Gunn. James Gunn wrote off-color tweets a decade earlier. This is not tweets, okay? This is not jokes. This isn't anything as small as that. This is something way more serious. And I will go on record, and I'm a huge James Gunn fan. Huge James Gunn fan. You guys know this. I'm a fanboy of James Gunn, but I will say this and I'll go on record right now. If by some unimaginable, inconceivable scenario that James Gunn and Peter Safran have a complete brain fart and decide, we're going to keep Ezra around. Because I guarantee you, this movie makes $1 billion. You can recast Ezra and the next one can still make $1 billion. I guarantee you that, 100%. And I say that as a fan of Ezra's portrayal of the character. But if they did, my God, I'll tell you what, the moment The Flash 2 comes out in theaters, DC's dead to me. Like, you just can't be that asinine stupid to just ignore all this other stuff. Now, granted, court cases may happen, like lawsuits may happen. And I don't know, some other dimensional being may come into existence and say, here's why all the claims against Ezra Miller are false. And we may find out that, hey, that's a different story. At that point, new information makes us change our perspective. And if new information comes out, I am more than willing, as always, to change my perspective. But make no mistake about it. Ezra Miller ain't going to be the Flash again. There might be a cameo here or there where Ezra Miller's maybe already shot and it's integral, but even that can be reshot. But I do not believe for 1 second that Ezra Miller, no matter how good this movie is, and no matter how good Ezra is in it, Ezra's done as Flash. And maybe some kind of a redemption thing for Ezra's actor career later on can happen, but I don't know. Rob, you got a thought on that?
Well, it was just not about that necessarily. I was going to ask you. I forgot to ask you. I mean, this is a sequel to Man of Steel. Who would have thought that Michael Shannon, I want to know, I would love to see Michael Shannon's agent comment on the character of Zod. Well, yeah, he got killed off in Man of Steel. Then we brought him back as a corpse in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. We saw him there. Now he's full on back as Man of Steel Zod with the world engines, blowing up Metropolis. I thought that's awesome. And so the people like the Restore the Snyderverse, if I was a hardcore Restore the Snyderverse kid, I'd be like, you got Ben Affleck, you got Zod, and you have the Flash. You have all characters that Zack Snyder cast and created for DC. Like, this is a great button, a great exclamation point, a great punctuation. And even though we're getting Aquaman too, on the Snyderverse.
But this is not a Snyderverse movie. No, this is an Andy Muschietti
No,
movie.
sure, but
right.
It clearly is a sequel to the Snyderverse realm.
Sure.
And I think that's cool. I think that, like, how many directors, when they leave a franchise or something that they created, get this kind of a send-off? Like, this is closing the door definitively on that universe. And I think it's cool. I'm like, that's rad.
All right, guys, question is for you. What did you think about the trailer? Again, just speaking on the merits of the trailer, I couldn't be more thrilled with it. I thought it was exciting and thrilling, and I am pumped to watch this movie as a result of it. Maybe it didn't do the same for you. Maybe you're like, the Ezra stuff is so distracting, I can't even separate the two situations at this point. I'd understand that too. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, we're not going to move on and take your live comments and questions. So we are now going to open up the super chats. Now, remember, we only keep the super chats open for just a couple of minutes. So if you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question, go ahead and fire that in quickly. But before we get to those live comments and questions that you guys, I'm sure, are now furiously typing in and sending in to us, we want to take another moment here and thank a couple more sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at ExpressVPN and BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. You've heard me talk about how important it is to have a VPN to protect your online privacy, but choosing a VPN you trust is equally as important. Now, I like to do research on my sponsors, and I only recommend brands to my listeners that I believe in, and I can say with full confidence that ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market, and here's why. Number one, ExpressVPN doesn't log your activity online. Lots of cheap or free VPNs make money by selling your data to advertisers, but ExpressVPN doesn't do this. They even developed a technology, Trusted Server, that makes their VPN servers incapable of storing any data at all. Number two, speed. ExpressVPN now uses Lightway, a new VPN protocol they engineered to make user speeds faster than ever. ExpressVPN is always blazing fast and lets me stream videos in HD quality with zero buffering. The last thing that really sets ExpressVPN apart is how easy it is to use. You don't need any technical skills to get set up. Just fire up the app and tap one button to connect. That's it. Even your grandparents could do it. And it's not just me saying this. CNET, Business Insider, The Verge, and many other tech journals rate ExpressVPN the #1 VPN in the world. So protect yourself with a VPN that I use and trust. Use my link, expressvpn.com/Campea today and get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/Campea to learn more. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process could... Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things, but sometimes life gets you bogged down, and you may feel overwhelmed or like you're not showing up in the way that you know you can. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you, because when you're feeling at your best, the challenges that life throws at you don't disappear, but you're more prepared to take on those challenges. Guys, you know I've been saying for a long time that we need to start prioritizing our mental health as much as we do our physical health. When we dedicate ourselves to going to the gym and looking after ourselves, we see that as a great step forward for us physically. Well, it's time for us to start taking care of ourselves mentally as well. So if you're feeling it's time to give therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So if you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at ExpressVPN and BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with all that down, let's now get into your comments and questions, shall we? Chris, what do we got in there first?
From My Comic Planet, I didn't see a clear villain in the trailer at first, but on more viewings, it appears it could be Dark Flash. What do you think it will be?
Yeah, there is that. Now, remember, there was a toy leak that came out that showed a Dark Barry.
Yes.
And so my assumption, again, I'm speaking as a fan, pure speculation, pure unadulterated speculation. It kind of seems to make sense to me that that's exactly what it's going to be. I think another version of Barry, a darker version of Barry, is probably going to end up being the villain. I mean, obviously Zod's in there, but I don't think Zod's going to play a major role in the film. Again, could be wrong. I'm just speculating. Rob?
There's no metahumans. He says this is a world with no metahumans. The Flash says that, and maybe that's why Zod's able to destroy the world in that particular universe. Maybe, and he moves on.
All right, what's next?
From King Tannic. First TF Super Bowl spot since the last night, Transformers Super Bowl spot since the last night in 2017. And they give us that. Come on, guys. Very disappointed, but the Flash trailer was great. Supergirl.
I don't know. I
liked
thought it
it.
was pretty good. Now, again, the big difference is where some others, they played a 30-second spot and said, go online to watch the full trailer. Because remember, they didn't play the full Flash trailer. They because of $7 million for 30 seconds. So they're like, go ahead and do that. And they didn't give us a full 2-minute one to go along with it. Okay, when is the release date, by the way, for Transformers Rise of the Beast? Because it could just be that they might feel that the movie's still a little bit far out to be releasing a second trailer already. Do we have a release
June
date?
9th.
What's that?
June 9th.
June 9th. Okay, so we are still quite a ways out from that. So maybe they just felt it's a little too early to put out a second full trailer already. So I'm okay with it, although I would have liked to have seen a more full one too. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher. Dad and I did a road trip this weekend from Florida to New York City.
Wow.
During the drive, we listened to a Dune audiobook narrated by George Goodall. It's excellent.
That's good. That's what a great way to spend the time driving.
Yeah, I haven't done a super long road trip like that probably since I moved to LA, because I literally packed up my car in Hamilton and drove all the way from East Coast Canada to Los Angeles. That took like 3 days to do. I mean, that's with stops at hotels too. But yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to doing a good long road trip again recently. So I'm glad you guys had a chance to do that. All right, what's next?
I hate them so much. I hate
I
driving.
hate them so much.
Sam Fisher. Honestly, I could see Gamora being the only one to live out of some twisted irony because she's supposed to be dead already.
By the way, I did like in the poster that they didn't try to do verbal gymnastics around the fact that Gamora's just back.
Right.
Because I hate when I get in these discussions with people and I say, they killed off Gamora and they just brought her back. People, well, actually, John, it's a different Gamora from a different. It's Gamora. And I like the fact that in this trailer, they just acknowledged, I had my girlfriend loved her and then she died. Now she's back. And so only this one's a dick. I kind of like that. That was funny. No, I think there might be one at most. I think at most two, but probably one significant death, maybe two. But I think they're going to keep Rocket around the MCU. I think that's just, you don't even need, why am I freezing on
Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper? Yeah, you don't even need Bradley Cooper around. You can just get somebody else to do their best Rocket voice imitation. You still just do the CGI of it. But I could see Drax dying. Drax could die because, it's been pretty public knowledge he ain't ever coming back to play the role again.
Sure.
And you can't just put somebody else in the makeup. So, but I think at most two people die. All right, what's next?
From Joshua Jones. So RDJ is Reese Witherspoon in This Means War?
Is that the one Tom Hardy and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Chris Pine? What is that? Just because Vin Diesel wants him and Jonathan Majors want him? Okay, you know what? It's an obscure reference, but I'll allow it. I like it. All right, what's next?
From Suthius. Fun fact, the abandoned theme park that Joel and Ellie drove by in episode 4 is actually Worlds of Fun. That's an active park under the same ownership as Knott's Berry Farm and California's Great America.
So what they do, they just aged it up. They just probably bought it
it's
out for a
abandoned.
weekend, aged it up.
Yeah. Could
There's
be.
actually a bunch of overgrowth too all around it. I've seen a documentary on it.
Oh, really? Okay, actually, that's pretty cool. I love it when they incorporate real stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's great. All right, what's next?
From Al Renshaw. When Keaton said the line, I thought of and turned into a DiCaprio meme. He did the thing. He said it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Batman. That was, come on. Look, those of us who were at CinemaCon last April, they gave us a lot of Michael Keaton. And if you're wondering why we're always joking that this movie is going to change its name to Batman Flashpoint, listen, back at CinemaCon in April, it was the preview they showed us was very Michael Keaton heavy.
It was
Did
all
you
bats
see
all
the
time.
picture of the Hall of Batman armor? Like they have all the different bat
I can't
suits?
remember. Oh,
It
did they
was-
show that to us at CinemaCon?
They might have, but there was a picture of it where you could see close. Man, there's some really cool bat suits in there. Like there was an Azrael-esque bat suit in
Oh,
there.
wow.
And I'm like, oh, snap. It looked really cool.
Because like I'm not remembering that wrong, right, Chris? Like at
Oh, no.
CinemaCon, they showed us like a 4-minute thing.
That's where this
And
all
it was
started.
all Michael Keaton.
I can't wait for them to show us not this movie.
Yeah.
And then it was just Batman footage at CinemaCon. That's why it was, I feel like a dashboard confessional song. I'm so vindicated.
All right, what's next?
From The Fault in Our Death Stars. The Flash trailer is the best DC film trailer since the San Diego Comic-Con Batman v Superman trailer. If the movie is as good as the trailer's quality, it could be a top 10 comic book movie.
Listen, I'll tell you. Well, first of all, it's always a fool's errand. I've learned this by personal mistake to ever assume that the quality of a trailer necessarily directly translates into the quality of the movie. We've all learned that lesson, right? But I need to think about it more because there have been some terrific banger DC trailers since that first of all, that San Diego Comic-Con Batman vs Superman trailer is one of the greatest trailers I've ever seen. Like not just DC, it is truly one of the best trailers I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is.
But, and I'm not saying that this trailer is better than that one, but I need a few days to think about it. I might agree that it might be the best DC trailer since that one. Maybe we'll see, but it's really damn good. All right, what's next?
From Sean Ryder. Do you guys use filmmaker picture mode on your TVs?
Okay, so every different TV manufacturer has a different name for all that kind of stuff. Like the one we have, we use Hisense things. There's no setting called filmmaker mode or whatever. Look, I think what you're referencing is the high, not the high refresh rate, but the 60 frame, what people refer to as the soap opera look. You know, taking that off. I remember Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise did this big public service announcement saying, "Hey, everybody at home, go into your TV settings and turn this off."
Yeah.
So I don't know
It's the motion smoothness.
Yeah, the motion smoothness. Say it, turn that off. That is not the way it's meant to be seen and all that kind of stuff. Of course, it's up to the individual's preference, but I agree with them, as a matter of fact.
I do too.
But it all depends because every TV manufacturer has different names, so I'm not quite sure exactly what you mean by filmmaker mode.
Well, there is an actual thing called filmmaker mode. Like I have an LG OLED 65-inch set, and it has filmmaker mode on it. And what it does is it sort of adjusts. You've got your frame rate, so the refresh rate,
which would be, I assume would be the key thing.
60 hertz, yeah. And then it does have but I have mine set on filmmaker mode, but then I go deeper into the settings and individually adjust things like contrast and everything using a disc of a check disc that has
calibrator disc.
Yeah, a calibrator disc that has all the test patterns on it.
Very cool.
So I'd use both, but it is actually called
But
filmmaker
like
mode.
the Hisense doesn't have one called filmmaker mode on
yeah.
it, and like my Samsung one at home doesn't have one called filmmaker mode on it. But so it could be different labels.
Yeah, like
manufacturer-
later has become a thing.
Nice.
So.
All right, what's next?
From Chef Rigo.
Chef Rigo.
The Super Bowl will be in Vegas next year.
Yeah.
Gotta go so that I can see my Dallas Cowboys play the Bengals.
That's adorable that you think the Cowboys are going to be in the Super Bowl next year. My biggest question about the Dallas Cowboys next year is not whether they'll be in the Super Bowl, because they won't. But will Dak Prescott be their quarterback? And I know some people will say, I'm not 100% sure that he will be. I think he could be slinging the football around for maybe the Jets. And by the way, I don't particularly like Dak Prescott, but he is a talented QB. I don't think he's a top 5 in the league, but I think there would be a lot of teams that would want him. And I think I could see Jerry Jones being like, we can't win a Super Bowl with him. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but we've had many years with him now, and we can see that we're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. And I could see him moving on from that, because all Jerry Jones wants is a Super Bowl. That's all he wants. And I don't think he's going to get it with Dak. All right, what's next?
From Cody Hunt. Do we think this actress will play Supergirl in the new DCU film?
I would say that's a coin toss. I really would. At this point, I would say it's a coin toss. I could totally see, I've heard and read arguments about that, both pro and con, and they all make sense to me. So right now, having not seen The Flash, I am perfectly happy if this actress is the Supergirl in the upcoming Supergirl movie. But I'm also totally cool. Like, obviously, Flashpoint is going to change a bunch of things. So I'm also perfectly good if they recast and go with a different Supergirl. So for me, I think it's a coin toss. Which way do you see it going, Rob?
I think it is a coin toss too, but I definitely see she could come back. I mean, judging from the brief instance we've seen of her, clearly she's got the screen presence, and I liked her very much when I saw And she's young. You know, they've already got her. And after obviously, clearly she's in a multiverse where Superman doesn't exist or something like that. And why not bring her back? Maybe she makes it through the Flashpoint unscathed.
Chris, is this our Supergirl moving forward? Do you think they're going to recast?
Could be. I mean, Andy Muschietti loves her. He thinks that she's just such a force. So, I mean, if she did really well with all of them and if she's really well received, absolutely she could be moving forward.
All right, what's next?
From Blake62. They had to nail this Flash trailer, and to me they did. I went from 0 excitement for this movie to 100 in a hurry.
You are not wrong when you say they needed to nail this trailer.
Yep.
They absolutely had to do it, and they did. They delivered in spades. They delivered a great trailer, and you're right. I think look. I can't speak for everybody. I have my own circles. You have your own circles, but man, I saw nothing but a lot of hype online for this trailer after it dropped.
And you know what? I have nothing to support this, but I think this trailer is an example. We saw the first thing that came out from the new DCU honchos. I think they had to approve this trailer.
Even though it's not their movie per se.
Right.
But you're right. They had to approve the
They
trailer.
had to approve the trailer.
Yeah.
Approve the trailer.
All right, what's next?
They spent 9 years making the trailer. From Sam Fisher, the Fantastic Four are still relevant the same way and for the same reason you say Soups is still relevant, in my opinion. They represent exploration, discovery, and family.
That's a good point.
Except that Superman is still relevant. It's not about what he represents. Like, you go the world over, you have the Superman logo. Everybody knows Superman. There are still professional athletes who still get the Superman thing tattooed on them and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so yeah, they do share those similar traits. Yes, but I don't know that those traits make them relevant or irrelevant.
Right.
As far as what, is there a pop cultural presence that they have?
But I think he means from like a storytelling standpoint.
Sure.
You nail it, you can make them relevant.
Yes, if you nail it, you can make them relevant, but it doesn't inherently make them relevant.
No.
So, I mean, so we'll see, though. We'll see. Hopefully, Kevin Feige and who's directing Fantastic? Matt Shackman?
Matt Shackman, yeah.
And hopefully, Kevin Feige and Shackman, they just knock this one out of the park because, man, the Fantastic Four need it. All right, what's next?
From Al Renshaw, was that Drax squaring off against Adam Warlock? If so, that's the Drax we have all been wanting to see.
The one big, as somebody who loves the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, my one complaint about it has been the deflowering, if you will, of Drax the Destroyer. Because you gotta remember, look, I'm not expecting them to make the movie versions just like the comic book versions. We talk against that all the time. But like the origins of Drax the Destroyer, he was genetically made to kill Thanos, right? And even in when we first meet Drax in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody quivers in his presence. They know who Drax the Destroyer is, right? And I love that they've given him a comedic personality. I do. I love that part of it. Like the interaction between him and Mantis in the holiday special is gold. But they've wussified him a lot. Like in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he doesn't even have any action sequences. Settle on that for a minute. Drax the Destroyer has no action sequences in the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Except the opening credits. When
in the opening credits, but that's a throwaway one, right? So, I mean, I would love to see like Drax actually be a badass again. Because the only time we've really seen him do anything, he charges at Thanos, who had the gauntlet and turned him into spaghetti, whatever. And then he faces Ronan the Accuser and just thoroughly gets his ass whooped. So it'd be nice to see them let Drax be a little bit of Drax in Drax's final movie. I mean, I would like that. All right, what's next?
From Jedediah Elias, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Jedediah.
The Chiefs may have won the game last night, but I won shortly after when I saw Titanic in theaters for the first time ever.
Nice.
James Cameron is an undefeated visual storyteller, and no, the door wouldn't have supported them both.
Yeah, did you see that James Gunn made a specific video editorial on the science of whether or not that door could have held him up? Yeah, okay, nice try, James. But the fact that they didn't even try, it's like, oh no, I love you so much, Jack, but there's no room. It kind of reminds me of the Seinfeld episode. It's like, you don't have a square to spare. I'm sorry, I don't have a square to spare. So I get it, but yeah, listen, we've actually been having a few people writing in to say, I just watched Titanic for the first time on the big screen. And again, I get it. It's the cool thing to bash on Titanic. But bash it all you want, and it's all subjective, of course. But Titanic is a remarkable movie. It's a wonderful film. And I mean, every once in a while I catch it on TV and I catch myself like I keep watching it until I finally have to go to do what I was going to do. It's a really, really good movie. I'm glad you had a chance to watch it on the big screen. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, I cried inside when I heard Keaton's theme music.
Come on.
It was so good.
Bah, 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 bah. Come on. That was like, if you want to know the power, I remember like in the one DC movie when Superman shows up and they just give a couple of hits of the John Williams, bum, 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 right? The power of music to instantly elicit an emotion is fully on display in this trailer.
Yeah, I mean, they did that. You first heard it when you saw the two Flashes standing there, and they cut behind, and you hear the do, 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 do. You know, like really slowed down.
They did it for Affleck too, though. In
Yep.
I forget which one it was. Justice League. He was on the gargoyle looking
They
down.
did do a little
Very
hit of that
subtle.
too. But in the trailer, man, they really made it stand out.
It was
and
big time. It was
Woo,
forefront.
that was some good stuff. All right, what's next?
From Murray Reich, the real MVP to this year's Super Bowl is Tubi.
Oh my God. How many Tubi spots? Two things. Tubi and Jesus. There was so many Tubi and Jesus ad spots. And you got to remember, they were paying $7 million per 30-second ad. And Tubi, I look, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw at least 5. I thought I saw at least 5 spots
They're a lot.
for Tubi, which means they dropped $35 million on advertising. And by the way, they were terrible ads. That whole bunny motif, that was terrible. They had a couple of others outside of the bunny one, but man, they spent a lot of money.
GoDaddy did that
T-Mobile
one
in
year.
Greece.
By the way, does anybody
out.
in here have Tubi?
No.
No, none of us use it or watch it. I might try it now. So, by the way, I'm not
They
even
got
really.
you.
Is it kind of like Pluto TV?
I think so.
Is that what Tubi kind of is? It's
Yeah.
kind of like a Pluto TV? Again, I've never used it, so I just don't know. But holy crap, they spent a lot of money. And I didn't think they had that kind of money. All right. All right, it's next.
Well, if you sign up, just let Ray know.
Let Ray know.
Well, that one's free, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there
Tubi's
you go.
free.
But
So
I'll
he
still
doesn't
take
have-
yours.
Yeah.
Okay. From Sin Vendetta, going to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey on Wednesday. Anyone else going to see it as well? Taylor Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you'll see that Winnie the Pooh himself sent me an autograph over the weekend. That was so funny.
I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. I know it's going to be trash. I know it's going to be absolute garbage. But if you make it fun garbage, it'll be totally worth it.
Fun garbage.
I might be
Fun
going
garbage.
on
garbage.
Wednesday the 15th at I think it's a Regal at LA Live. They're having a special screening, and the actor who plays Pooh, the composer, and the director are all going to be there for a Q&A after. I think I might go to that one.
You know that the composer of this movie is probably like the director's buddy who plays guitar. That's the composer. Alan Shore is probably Alan Shore. I'm thinking Boston Legal.
Yeah, it's gonna be like-
Howard Shore is probably not. Like, for all I know, they got a fabulous composer.
Although Howard
So-
Shore does do experimental music, so maybe he did it
Nope, never know. Never know.
under a pseudonym.
All right, what's next?
Oh, interesting thing the chat pointed out. Fox owns Tubi. So they
Oh,
were
well,
just,
that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense then, because they probably got the family discount.
they don't have Jesus money.
They don't have Jesus money.
Who does?
By the way, those Jesus commercials. Those are good commercials. Those are compelling commercials. But yeah, that makes sense because I
Didn't
didn't
move
think
the
Tubi
needle
had
for
that
me.
much money. All right, what's next?
From Elden Goblin. The Last of Us is the second greatest video game adaptation ever, just behind Super Mario Brothers 1993. How dare you?
Oh my God,
How dare you?
man! You know there are some movies, guys, that like have this reputation of being so awful, and then you go back and you revisit them, and you're like, that wasn't so bad. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't so bad. Super Mario Brothers is one of those so bad movies. It is so bad.
It's bad.
How did they get, why am I forgetting the name of the speed villain? Dennis Hopper. How did they get Dennis Hopper in that?
King Koopa.
As King Koopa? How did they get Dennis Hopper in that?
Money.
So much money. So much money had to be.
In the
All right,
words of
what's
Kevin.
next?
From Seconds from Disaster, this Batman Flashpoint movie looks so sick. Looks like I'll have a new set of Batmobiles, Batbikes to collect.
Well, maybe not Batmobiles or the Batwing. If you got your old one, you're probably still good.
I can't imagine how many hot toys are coming out of this movie. So many.
You know, and I keep going back to that movie just a couple of years ago that Michael Keaton did with Stacey Q. No, Maggie
Oh,
Q.
the
Maggie
the
Q.
Prodigy.
Stacy Q is a very different.
Yeah, Stacey Q's a musician.
But that he did with Maggie Q called The Prodigy. And that was the movie to me where Michael Keaton is in his late 60s, early 70s at that point. Maybe he was just 70 or younger than that. And I remember, okay, how's this going to go? And he kicks ass in that movie.
Great,
and
yeah.
that was the movie to me that I went, he could still be Batman.
Yep.
I mean,
He
he
is Batman.
could still do Batman and make it feel believable. And yeah, I can't wait to watch this. This is going to be great. All right, what's next?
From Vess, aka Mr. No Days Off. Big fan here since the Sons of AMC days.
Oh, thank you, man.
Because of where we are in Phase 5 and are headed to Secret Wars, over under 60% we see Franklin Richards in the Fantastic Four movie.
0. Well, that's Franklin Richards is a character that came about after the Fantastic Four had been characters in the comics for 70 years or 60 years or whatever. Franklin Richards is also way too powerful.
Yeah.
So they'd either have to neuter it. So I think this is going to be, I don't think this will necessarily be a pure origin story of the Fantastic Four, but I think it's still going to be an earlier story. So maybe I won't say 0, but 2%.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because it's too big of a concept. You got to set up the Fantastic Four before you get Franklin
But
Richards.
even then, I don't know how you bring a god into this thing. I mean, like literally one of the most iconic panels out of any Fantastic Four story ever is like, the parents are talking, then the flash to Franklin just sitting, the little child Franklin playing in his room, and he just created a universe. Like, it's just, that's a tough one. Like, what do
Marvel's
you
not
do?
sure on how to bring a god in either. Look at
what's
the
that?
Celestials. Said Marvel's not sure how to bring in gods either.
Oh, yes.
There's
But I mean, like theoretically, Franklin Richards could just go, and the Celestials are gone. I just, it's hard. It's a hard one. But I definitely not in this first movie. I don't think so. But who knows? I'm just speculating. All right, what's next?
From The Fault in Our Death Stars again. Fun fact, a Flash film was announced after The Flash's second episode on October of 2014. This Flash trailer came out a few days after The Flash's season 9 premiere.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot on this show. That they announced the movie just days after the Flash TV series came out, and that was 9 seasons ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, whoo. The whole journey of this Flash movie is going to be a film school requisite study for how to really botch and mishandle a property. So it's a huge thing. All right, what's next?
From Marasum, Leonardo DiCaprio and his new girlfriend are the same age as Joel and Ellie, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, 48 and 19. Let that sink in.
Chris often says that she's not going to kink shame anybody. And I agree with that philosophy.
But I do have the vote in 2 presidential elections rule.
Yes, yeah. But Chris you have to have at least been able to vote in 2 presidential elections for us to be romantically compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, by law, she is an adult, whoever she is. I've never seen a picture of her. I have no idea who she is, what her name is, what she looks like. But by law, she is an adult and he is an adult, and 2 adults can do whatever they want. I would not necessarily date somebody 28 years younger than me, but I don't know.
But if you could.
I
course,
could.
Rob.
Oh my God.
I mean,
You're better than that.
But I am
You're
not
better
here
than that.
to judge. I am not going to judge him on that. I'm not going to judge
Love
him
is
on that.
love, man.
I just can't
Love is
believe.
love.
I just can't believe he's pushing 50.
Oh yeah, that is kind of crazy. Oh, Jack. All right, what's next?
From My Comic Planet, who sends in a $20 super chat. Thank
Thank
so
you, My
much.
Comic Planet.
Wow, that Tesla Super Bowl commercial. Yikes. John, I know you love the self-driving feature, but have you heard about these complaints or backlash over it? Ironically, Elon Musk was in attendance at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Elon Musk was sitting there at the Super Bowl. I'm a big fan of Tesla. I really am. I love their cars. I did not see the ad. I did not see the Tesla ad.
I didn't either.
And just to be clear, I have never personally used the full self-driving, the FSD as they call it. There's 2 different things that self-driving kind of fall under. There's autopilot, which is something all Teslas have. And then there's full self-driving, which I think now it's $12,000. If you own a Tesla, you just log onto the app and buy it or pay $200 a month for it. That's the full self-driving where you can literally get in your car, type in the address you want to go to, and it'll just take you there. I don't have that. I don't feel the need to have that. I use what's called autopilot, where once I get on the highway, I set autopilot and it controls my speed, keeps me in the center of my lane, no matter how it turns, all that kind of stuff. I love autopilot. And studies have been done by the, I can't remember the name of the branch of the government that looks after roads and highways and traffic and stuff like that, but studies were done by them that show that people who drive using autopilot, the accident rate is like minuscule compared to the accidents per hour driving of people who self-drive.
Yeah.
So I don't care what anybody else says. I've been using autopilot for about a year now. I absolutely love it. I've never tried the full self-driving, but the autopilot I know is fantastic. All right, what's next?
From Terrence Fisher, do you think Kara is the Kara from the open pod that was empty in Man of Steel? That'd be awesome if so.
I would love that callback. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, when Man of Steel came out, if you remember, when Clark discovers the Kryptonian ship, he goes in and he finds 2 pods. In one pod is a dead skeleton Kryptonian, and another pod was open and empty. Now, just before Man of Steel came out, DC put out a prequel, a Superman prequel comic book that focused on Kara. And what happened is that Clark's cousin, Kara, was in that ship.
Yeah.
See the open pod there at the back that's open and nobody's in it? In the comic book, she was the one in that pod. And when the ship crashed on Earth, however many thousands of years earlier, the comic's last panel is her getting out of the ship and wandering off into the distance.
Yeah.
And so at the time, a lot of us were like, are they going to say that she was the one who started Themyscira? That the Amazonians are actually all descendants of Kara or something like that, but they've never referenced it. It would be pretty damn cool if they did connect it here.
I think so.
I would love it. I don't know that that's what they're doing. Probably not, but I would love it if they did. All right, what's next?
From Eldon Goblin, think we'll get a joke in the Flash movie about Batman's cowl not letting him turn his head? LOL.
Yes, I really do.
I do too.
That's the thing. When you look at that Michael Keaton, if he's got to look this way, he's got to do that. He can't do this. He's got to do this. I mean, they made a joke about it in The Dark Knight, or the Dark Knight. Yeah, that's first. No, yeah, it was just no. What was the first one? Batman Return. No,
Yeah,
Batman Begins. They made a joke about it in Batman Begins, a very subtle joke about it, but I think they do make a joke about it. All right, what's next?
From Mike's Movie Madness. So we hate the High Evolutionary for messing with Baby Rocket, right? He's a monster. He is a monster.
Listen, they need to do what John Wick did. The movie John Wick, not the character. Because what John Wick was going to do to all those people in that movie, it's very difficult, like the pure visceralness of it was very difficult for an audience to get on board with. Unless you show us that villain first doing something so unspeakable that even nuns are standing up in the movie theater and say, that fucker's gotta die. That's what they did by killing the puppy. And they're probably going to use Rocket and the High Evolutionary's mistreatment of Rocket to be that anything that happens to this character in this movie is justified. So you're right. They probably will do something along those lines. All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw, any significance to Otherberry wearing yellow headphones? Could he actually be playing Reverse Flash or Wally West? Well, they both introduced themselves as Barry. We're Barry.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We as movie fans are always looking for significance in every little detail. Again, when we first saw the first images of Thanos and he had the 3 scars on his mask, on his face, there were hundreds of thousands of X-Men fans online proclaiming this is the proof that Wolverine is going to be in Infinity War. Because how else can 3 claw marks or 3 scratches or 3 scars happen other than Wolverine, right? So even today, it was like Ray and I were watching the trailer. It's like, hey, wait a minute. That shirt was green. Does that mean Green Lantern's going to be in this? It's like, well, I mean, a color is going to be there. So look, we're just speculating. Maybe there's significance to it. I think they were just yellow, but you never know. Maybe. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
From Stephen J. It's not the Fantastic Four themselves that excites us. It's the role the Fantastic Four will play in the overarching story of the MCU. Marvel Comics has created some brilliant stories in which the Fantastic Four play pivotal and interesting roles.
Well, I mean, that's 100% true.
I
Rob.
agree.
think
I agree with that 100%.
95, if not more percent of the general movie-going public have never read those stories. But
Right.
But I agree with what he's saying. What do you think?
I think it's absolutely true. And like, if you've read the stories, you realize how good the Fantastic Four can be. I implore all of you to go back and check out the John Byrne run of Fantastic Four. It's been collected, and also Hickman's run, because both of those are great. They're great comics. And you'll be like, oh, I want to see these Fantastic Four movies.
All right, what's next?
From the man with the master plan, good day, Team Campea. What if the Iron Man from the Illuminati universe forms the Avengers to avenge for the Illuminati?
Then that's what happens.
Yeah. That's
That's
cool.
I don't think, listen, I've seen more speculation popping up that which Earth was it in Doctor Strange 2? Is that 838?
It's
I'm not sure.
816. No, we're 616. Yeah, I think it might have been
838, whatever one it was. There are people speculating that the Iron Man from that universe is alive and that it's going to be Tom Cruise. Not the dumbest theory, because
No.
if we know anything about Kevin Feige, is he loves fan service. And that would definitely be a huge fan service thing. I don't know. We'll see. All right, what's next?
From
You gotta do art.
Eric7797, how about those Chiefs?
Yeah, the ref saved him again. I mean, listen, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but the Chiefs went 2 games in a row where, man, the refs. I'm not one of these people saying, oh, that was rigged. I don't believe that at all. But boy, I haven't seen a team in the playoffs 2 weeks straight get that much of a helping hand from the refs.
Yeah.
Then I'm just saying, listen, neither the Chiefs or the Eagles are my team, so I don't have a dog in this race at all. But yeah, they certainly did get a bit of a helping hand there, but especially in the Bengals game. But anyway, all right, what's next?
From Donuts, they're somehow making a sequel to Gerard Butler's Plane, which is legitimately going to be called Ship. What a franchise.
I didn't hear what the name of it was going to be. I saw news this morning that Michael Coulter is going to come back for the sequel. I'm like, time out, double check notes. That movie made $50 million. Not on its opening weekend, not domestically. Worldwide, that movie made about $50 million. And Ray is giving it a round of applause. That movie made $50 million and it's getting a sequel. And Henry Cavill is not Superman anymore. That's the world we live in. All right, what's next?
From Vixter 5001, I still prefer 1883, but episode 6 of 1923 was great. Ford and Mirren's scene together were top tier. Spencer, great too. Starting to care more.
Yeah, I can't give any commentary. I ditched on 1923. I think after episode 3, I think it was. It just lost me. You know, I was super excited about that show. So I'm not saying anything bad about the last 3 episodes because I haven't seen them. I'm just saying that I kind of gave up on the show. It just 1883 to me was far more compelling right from the get-go. But hey, maybe one of these days I'll go back and watch 1923 if everybody says it finishes strong. All right, what's next?
From Vess, aka Mr. No Days Off again. From the trailer, it looks like Batman Flashpoint is going to use Supergirl in the Superman role from the Flashpoint comic book with a little red sun combined with it. Thoughts?
Listen, it's not unusual, Rob, we talk about this all the time. It's not unusual it's very rare that you see a comic book movie that is actually truly based on one of the comic book stories, right?
Yes.
What normally happens is you go into these comic book movies and you'll see that there were 4 or 5 major influences and they take bits and pieces from several major storylines. So I have no doubt that they're actually right about that. What do you see?
No, I agree. The problem is the context. When you're reading the comics, you've got the context of the ongoing storylines and you have the rest of the universe. When you're making a movie, people don't have that context. So they have to readapt whatever it is they're adapting. So that's why the Age of Ultron story has elements of all different Ultron stories, not just the Age of Ultron miniseries,
Right.
which it doesn't resemble at all. They have to make it work for the movie-going audience. So all these things that we might understand, they have to set up in the context of the movie before they can do anything with them. So
All right, what's next?
From picklemyfoot.fart, just with some support. Thank
you so much. That's a movie I'm still working on, everybody. Pickle My Foot is still a movie I'm working on. Just keep your eyes open for it.
From A. Marcellus, I know the new actor for Batman Brave and Bold is too early to be shown now, but do you think the Flash movie ends showing Batfleck even after the timeline change or the new guy?
I don't think either. Remember, this movie was made long before James Gunn probably had his first conversation about taking over DC. And we've already seen that just because something was set up in DC prior to James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over, didn't mean they could change it. They brought Henry Cavill back. And even though they had done that, that was before James Gunn and Peter Safran took over. The minute they took over, they let everybody know and Henry know that's not part of our plans. So Rob, you brought it up earlier. I think it's possible we could meet our new Batman in this movie, but I doubt it. I don't know. What do you think?
I do too. I'm just saying, I'm floating it out there. I mean, it'd be a perfect, because they've said that they're using, I only say that because in the press, James Gunn had said that they're using this movie as sort of the entry point, the end of one universe, the beginning of another. So with that, and I'm paraphrasing, but with that idea there, they could, but that means I can't believe they were able to cast a new Batman and no one would know. There's too many people in the industry. But then again, they're getting better at keeping secrets. But somebody would spill the beans.
All right, what's next?
From Mr. Graham 91, as the older sibling, that episode broke me instantly. It's our job to protect the younger siblings. When we fail, it tears you apart.
I'll tell you what, man, that I literally was getting texts from people that I knew that just like watch a new episode of, like literally was watch new episode of Last of Us, crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. I mean, Ray saw it before I did.
Wow.
And because Ann was out when it first dropped. So I don't watch that show without Ann. And Ray saw it before I did. And I got back, he was house sitting for me. So I got back to the house and the first thing I asked Ray is like, so did you like Last of Us? Or how was the episode? And Ray, I can't remember what exactly you said, but I think it was something along the lines of there was a dramatic pause and then I love this show.
Oh no, I said best show ever.
Oh yeah, the best show ever.
I have no knowledge of the game, just the show by itself. It's really good.
Yeah,
I mean it's
it is
really
really
different.
good.
It's really good.
And this episode was just, oh my God, gut wrenching. Oh, had everything. All right, what's next?
From John D. That's why we haven't seen a Kurt Cobain biopic. His story is a tragic cautionary tale that I feel would speak poetically to today's generation. We talked about this on Weekly Hero when someone asked why they haven't made one.
Yeah, but there's no way to do it. There's no way to do it. There's so much controversy surrounding, Kurt Cobain's dying. And listen, I'm not big on musical biopics in general. I've obviously seen a couple that I really liked, but I mean, Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, they literally changed music. They really did. And so it'd be interesting, but I'm not going to go into we all know what the issues are. I just don't know how you make that movie. But then again, for 15 years, we said the same thing about the Michael Jackson movie, I should say. And it took 15 years and now someone's taking a swing at it. And I think they're going to have problems, but I think it's kind of the different sets of circumstances, but presenting problems that I don't know how you make that movie without like really ruffling a lot of feathers. All right, what's next?
From My Comic Planet, the title of this episode was Endure and Survive, but not in a positive way, because Sam couldn't survive and Henry couldn't endure. Man, this is some of the best writing I've ever seen in a show.
Everything they do in this show is layered with meaning that later becomes apparent. Like that whole thing when they say endure and survive. It's like, yeah, that's the mantra of this world. You think Joel and Ellie will endure and survive, but you realize, no, man, it's referencing that these two couldn't. One couldn't survive and one couldn't endure. And it's just another example of the beautiful way they write this show. It's always so layered, multiple meanings to so many different things. It's genius. This show is absolute breathtaking genius. All right, what's next?
From Jerry Jolly, I don't think Keaton is playing 89 Batman. He's Thomas Wayne, who has huge motivation to help Flash restore the timeline.
I once thought as you, but I mean, that's his cave, that's his outfit, and that's his music. I don't now, of course,
and his car.
Yeah, and his car. Now, of course, if you know the story of Flashpoint, Batman being Thomas Wayne makes absolute total sense. But if that was the case, then what you do is you go out and get, I keep forgetting the actor who plays Negan, and he's in Supernatural. And he's the comedian in
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. If that is the case, then you go and get Jeffrey Dean Morgan to come in and play, because that would then narratively make sense.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think so. But hey, it's very, very possible, and maybe all that other stuff is just a big misdirect. But my guess is it's not. But we'll see. All right, what's next?
From Jordan Garza. Hey, crew. Big longtime fan. One of my favorite parts of the day.
Oh, thank you, man.
Heard rumors Star Wars could be split into 2 different parts. If that's true, it could benefit the story with scale it could have. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
I think they probably mean Secret Wars.
Secret Wars,
Guys,
thank you.
please
Okay.
do not write in acronyms. You're just, listen, I don't want to get back into this whole thing, but I remember when they said, hey, Avengers 4 is going to be split in 2. It's like, no, it's not. They're making 2 different movies, but that was never, see, something being split in 2 is when you had something that was going to be one movie. It's what happened to Kill Bill, right? Kill Bill was conceived of and shot as one movie.
Yes.
And then they went, you know what? Let's double up on this. Let's split it into 2. And then they literally split it into 2. But like the Russo brothers has long put this to bed, like Infinity War and Endgame were never one movie. There was always 2 completely different movies. They didn't split that Avengers movie into 2. I remember all this argument that went on for the time. By the way, it was clear. It was always a thing. I don't think Secret Wars is going to be split into 2. It's going to be one. Now, if a year down the road from now, Kevin Feige comes out and says, listen, we planned it as one movie. We were writing it as one movie. But once we were really getting into it, we just realized there's just too much here. We are now breaking this into 2 separate parts. That is breaking into 2 movies, but I don't think they're doing that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Although they could.
It's always possible. It's within the realm of possibility.
Trilogy.
All right, what's next?
From Cody Hunt. Major's comments seem too specific to mean nothing.
Just about Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, and that is very possible. That is absolutely very possible. It could mean nothing. I think a lot of people probably believe it means nothing. There's a big part of me that thinks it probably means nothing. There's also part of me thinking it could mean something. Again, we're all in theoretical speculation mode right here, right? But you're probably right. It probably doesn't mean anything. But it goes along with my belief for the longest time that at some point Robert Downey Jr. is coming back.
Yep.
And if Secret Wars isn't a good place to bring him back, I don't know what else would be. All right, what's next?
From Trevor. Give Pedro and Bella the Emmy. Hell, just give The Last of Us all the Emmys.
Just give them all the Emmys right now. Just give them all.
Especially the comedy ones.
Like the technical awards, give them all the technical awards. The costuming, the makeup, the cinematography, the set
Amazing.
design, everything about it. Bella Ramsey, she's going to get nominated for an Emmy for this. We can just tell 5 episodes in, she's going to get nominated for an Emmy. She's remarkable in this. There's going to be guest appearance Emmys. There's going to be like I'll tell you right now, Nick Offerman is going to, because there is an Emmy for guest appearances, right?
Yes.
Nick Offerman is going to win that Emmy. All right, just start carving it into the trophy, his name right now. He's going to win that Emmy. Pedro Pascal, I mean, yeah, just give it all.
It will win the MTV Best Kiss too.
Oh, well, absolutely
yeah, for sure.
win
No,
Best
right.
Kiss.
They're gonna give it. They're gonna
No.
give that.
That is for, I agree with you.
Cordyceps
They
kiss.
absolutely 100%.
Oh, wait a
to
minute.
be.
We're probably disagreeing, though. We're probably thinking of 2 different kisses.
No,
Yeah.
I'm thinking the zombie.
He's talking
one.
about the kiss
Oh,
of
yeah.
Cordyceps.
Anna
I think
Torv.
some people are thinking of Bill and Frank.
No.
No.
But I'm betting it's.
Although
it's-
that'll probably
it's-
get nominated too.
It's the Infected Kiss.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
will
it's
win
the Infected
the
Kiss.
MTV one.
The kiss of Cordyceps.
All right, and is that it?
That's it.
All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show a big part of your day, Ray.
Can we just say happy
No.
birthday to Irene Jobson? A big fan of it's her birthday today. I just wanted to say happy
Oh,
birthday.
happy birthday.
She knows how to bring the filthy too.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, sorry, John. I just wanted
Don't know
to.
what that
You know,
means.
she's a viewer.
By the way, I want to let you guys know that a little bit later, actually about an hour and 45 minutes from now, we are, as we've been doing the show, we have been downloading Hogwarts Legacy. And Anne, who is the biggest Potterhead that I personally know, my wife Anne, is coming in, and we are going to be playing some Hogwarts Legacy and live streaming us setting up the character and getting going in that. So if you guys want to come back and join us at 2:00 for that, that's what we're going to do. And then remember at 4:30 Los Angeles time, I'll be doing the Last of Us open spoiler discussion after show. Hope you guys will join us for that as well. All right, guys, for everybody in the room, Robert Meyer Burnett, Ray Aura, Taylor back there, Jonathan running the show, and of course the delightful Chris Carr. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.